Next game being away at New Mexico State. Here was Nick Vadiato after last night's loss and on the final play of the Blue Raiders' offensive drive.
I tried to hit DJ over the top, and I think I just kind of left it a little inside. DB did a really good job of getting his head turned around because just try to let one of our fast guys go run and get it. Unfortunately, left a little inside, and DB made a heck of a play, so credit to him.
Tune in tonight for Preds Insiders with our very own Robbie Stanley and Nick Keiser at 6 p.m., followed by Penalty Box Radio at 7 p.m., right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. And we're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Predators fall last night 6-1 at the hands of the Edmonton Oilers. And we were talking about that yesterday, that I know that just for some reason, and it's not even just Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Feels like just Leon Draisaitl has the Predators number. That he walks into Bridgestone Arena and somehow it's just like everything all clicks. And he's one of the best players in the world. Like I'm not discounting what Leon Draisaitl does outside of Bridgestone Arena, but it seems like whenever he makes his way to Nashville, something special happens.
This is his home. I hate to say it, but this is sort of his place. I hate to say it, because I like the chart you guys put up too of all the places where he scored goals.
Yeah,
and that it's just like
it covered up a lot. Of the screen.
It's like there's typically it's like, okay, a guy have a tendency to just, if he's a right hand guy, he's strong on the right side and he doesn't do much, or like basketball, force a guy to his left because he struggles.
Spot.
Yes,
yeah.
But you looked at his and it was like, no matter where he's at, he's getting goals.
Yeah.
He's a deadly shooter, and he always seems to have his A game against the Predators. I also wonder about just the mental when you've gone up against a guy like he scores one early, what that does mentally to a team that has not had success against a guy like that. It was kind of a worst-case scenario that unfolded last night. But, look, tip your cap. If you went to the game last night, you saw two of the greatest of their era. It's Jordan and Pippen. I say it all the time. The Werewolves. They
Shaq
got
and Kobe.
Yeah, exactly.
Predators fall to 1-3 so far in the season. And, call me a bobo, call me soft. I'm really not concerned about where this team is at right now because a couple reasons. One, the schedule's been a gauntlet. I mean, you open up with Tampa Bay and Seattle and Boston and Edmonton with two of the best players in the sport. Like, that's, if you make it out, at least with a win in that stretch, I think you'll take that. I think the second reason why I'm not overly concerned is I have felt like the Preds have played really, for the most part, pretty well. I mean, that sounds crazy after you fall 4-0 in the first period and UC Saros gets pulled. But really, you need to start winning some games, and you need to start getting the puck in the net. Those are all, and there are absolutely some concerns of mine that I do want to bring up to you. But overall, Willy, I'm not too overly concerned.
Willie, before you say that, do you think it's because of what's been coming, as far as what's being put out, as from Trotz, from Coach Bruno? Listen, this is going to take some time. So we're preparing you now. We're not coming in here and giving you these false hopes, of grandeur, like, oh, it's going to be great. We got new guys. We're going to come out. No, this is going to take time. So when the message is put out that it's going to take time, do you think the fans then are more accepting? They want to win, and they want to see good hockey, but they know they're accepting, okay, it may take a little bit of time before this thing gets going.
I think the reset of expectations definitely is in play here. I think there would be a bigger reaction, for example, for last year's team or even the year before's team if you had a game like that. But because they have said they're changing things. This is a new era. They're trying to get younger. They're trying to pave the way for younger players to become a bigger part of the foundation happening, that you're probably going to have some games like this. And yet, I'm curious, though, while this is going on, what standard they set for themselves in the locker room. Because you do have serial winners in there. You have guys that they don't accept losing 6-1, right? Last night, were there things that they did to shoot themselves in the foot? Yeah. And was it the young players? No. Roman Yossi was the first to say it after the game on our broadcast last night. He said, I took a bad penalty at the beginning of the game, and I set the table for them to cash in with the best power play in the universe. And it might be the best power play of all time, and that's saying something. And it's a penalty that's avoidable. In the second period, as bleak as it looked, they had 11 shots early on in the game. They were getting plenty of shots. And they're down 4-0, and they cash in on a power play. It's 4-1. The crowd gets back into it a little bit. They get another power play, and they hit the post. And so they're inches from being at 4-2, but they're feeling good. And what happens after that? Philip Forsberg gets kind of a frustration penalty. He slashes a guy in the offensive zone, puts the Oilers back on the power play, and boom, they cash in again. Game over, pretty much, right? That ended any chance of creeping back in the game. So these are the things that, Andrew Burnett was talking about after the game. Like, we can't make self-inflicted mistakes.
Right.
We've got to win battles. We've got to out-hustle people. We've got to outwork people. And so that's a standard that, regardless of your talent level, you got to be smart. You got to try to overachieve. And those are things. Because, Eddie Fogler, when I was the player at Vanderbilt, he used to just have the basic thing. What are you getting? What are you giving up? Right? And that's hockey in a lot of ways. What are you getting on the offensive end, and what are you giving up on the defensive end? Last night, they only scored one goal, but they had 40-some-odd shots, and if you look at the quality of the shots, I'm looking at Sport Logic right now, they had a lot of pretty good chances. The goalie played well for the Oilers, but they're getting a reason. The system, you can see what they're trying to do. They're getting a lot more push at the goal. They're getting way more shots than they did in the old system. That's apparent, and that's encouraging, right? They've just got to find a way to start finishing these scoring chances that they have. And on the other end, they had played 3 pretty good defensive games, give or take, except for the penalty kill.
Right.
Last night, there was a dip in that area. And also the penalty kill, they got exposed. Now, the Oilers are probably going to expose just about everybody in that area. So that's kind of my assessment of the game. I think playing these teams might be the best thing for them. Like, remember Elliott on the show last week, Caroline?
Yeah.
When I said, well, this is a tough schedule, tough way to start your career if you're Andrew Burnett. He said, well, maybe you want to just put yourself up there against the best teams. Maybe that's going to make you stronger quicker.
Maybe you'll learn more about where your team is at and where the gap is. That if you want to be the Boston Bruins, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Tampa Bay Lightning of the NHL, play them and see how wide the gap is and see where you need to fill in the holes.
Yeah, and last night was a reality check.
The gap is pretty wide.
Yeah. If you're not on your A game,
if you're
not bringing it to the table, you will get exposed.
But like you said, they got their opportunities. They got the shots. They just didn't go in. I was surprised with their goalie, who was not great last year, but he ended up playing a great game last night.
Yeah, we said it at the end of the show yesterday. Was the way to beat the Oilers is to expose their weakness, which is shaky goaltending. And to his credit, I thought Jack Campbell played a good game. 41 saves is 41 saves. Now, Andrew Burnett did say that. This was a good question. I thought the press conference after the game that we played on 102.5 The Game, we had some good questions by the media that covered the game. One of them was getting to second shots, right? So let's just take basketball, right? Some of the best offenses are what Coach Fogler used to say. This is not Coach Fogler. I didn't just talk to Coach Fogler on the phone, I promise you. But he used to say, shoot it and go get it, right? Even if you don't particularly shoot the ball well, if you're getting all these offensive rebounds and stickbacks, that's still good offense.
Exactly.
Nashville right now is not getting rebounds. They're getting a lot of shots, and they're creating enough shots where there's a rebound there. If you can just find a way to get that next guy inside position, battle against the guy that's boxing you out, and put one in, that counts just the same. They're not getting to second shots.
And we have that from Andrew Burnett on, it's one thing to get this shot, but it's another thing to not get the opportunity. This was Andrew Burnett.
We definitely created enough opportunities to win the hockey game or to be in the lead. We didn't finish. I think at times we been squeezing our stick. We want it so bad. And again, that's as a coach and the staff that you appreciate the will and the want. I just think a little bit of composure and poise at different situations, we could probably just, things will come if you keep getting opportunities.
How do you get that, right? So he's right, and I'm looking at the sport logic, right? Grade A chances, 2. Grade B, 10. That's a lot. Grade C, 16. By contrast, the Oilers, 8 grade A's, 6 grade B, 5 grade C. So they had less overall chances, but they had a higher percentage of quality chances, and they got guys who finished the chances.
Yeah.
Right? They could have, if it's Leon Draisaitl shooting and I'm shooting, right? I mean, I might need 100 shots to get one in. And I might not even get that one in. Give him 8 shots, he's probably going to score 6 or 7, right? Depending on the goalies. You see what I'm saying, though. Those guys finish. Nashville probably doesn't have right now the quality finishers that Edmonton does. And this is what we got to find out with guys like Tomasino and Evangelista and Glass, who, they haven't really gotten it going yet. They haven't shown as much of what they showed last year, but it's still really, really early. But they are getting shots. So there's that finishing the initial shot. You get that one-timer, bam, it's in when you get the chance. That's not happening as much as it needs to right now. And if the goalie makes the first save, are you winning battles in front of the net to get to that second shot where the goalie can't recover? That's the next level that happened. And Andrew Burnett did talk about that last night as well.
Now, from your experience, Willie, at covering, hockey for so long, is that something that can be taught, or is it just one of those things that, you just have it or you don't?
I think over 82 games, you show what you can do most of the time. And I'll equate it to baseball, right? You can be a good hitter. We see it in the postseason, the Braves, right? Who was the best offensive team ever from a power hitting standpoint?
Braves.
The Braves. Get in the playoffs, what happened? They had a bad series, and they're playing golf right now, right? They're looking around going, how the heck did this happen again?
Enjoy Cabo.
Right. So my point is you can be a really good shooter, score, and go through a drought. I mean, they've only played 4 games, right? So we got a long way to go here. But are you doing the things that you need to do? Are you reading the play right? Are you getting yourself in position? Are you getting chances to score? Are you battling as much as you need to in front of the net to get that second shot? Is there that extra effort that needs to happen? Are you following the concepts of your power play, which I think is encouraging? The power play, I think, is trending a little bit better. They still need to get better results, but I think it's got better potential than last year, but we'll have to find out.
And that's one area where overall I'm not concerned about the team. We're seeing good things. You're seeing the foundation being laid. And I at least feel like you're going to start seeing that progress show up in the box score and on the scoreboard. But an area that I am wanting more from is both the power play and the penalty kill. Now, I don't know how much of that is you're going up against some of the best power plays in the National Hockey League between Boston, Tampa Bay, and Edmonton. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would bet that those are probably 1, 2, 3 in some sort of order of best power plays.
Probably throw
in the
Colorado in there, maybe Toronto.
Yep.
But those, and Edmonton, I think, is in a class of their own. But the others are in the top echelon for sure.
So is that this penalty kill still has a lot of work to do? Or is it just going up against some of the best power plays in the league? Probably a little bit of both.
Yes, but the results have to be better.
Yes.
Andrew Burnett knows that, right? They can't give up 2 power play goals a game. In the 3 losses, they've given up 2 power play goals each game. So that's a recipe.
They were what,
that's
0
hard
for
to
6 in Boston? 0 for 7?
0 for 7
on the power play?
0 for 7. Now, Andrew Burnett broke that down at the 0 for 7 in Boston. 2 of them were abbreviated, just 12 seconds or something.
Right.
So it's a little bit off. He said 2 of them were horrendous, where they never got anything set up. And he said now 3, they had a lot of good action to the net, a lot of good shots, good looks. Nothing goes in. So all of these things are factors. So they only have 2 power play goals scored in the first 4 games. I thought it was pretty good last night. If Ryan O'Reilly buries that other one, they could have had bam, 2 power play goals in a row, which would have had you feeling a lot better about where it's going. But a lot of new guys, and we feared this before the season started, that it might take some time to gel, right, with the O'Reillys and the Nyquists and some of the new guys gelling with the younger players and the establishment guys like Yossi and Forsberg. And I see that some, right? They're still ironing it out. But I think they have a potential there if they can stay tight, stay confident, especially with these young guys. When you get beat like that, it could weigh on you confidence-wise. So how do they rebound in a real hostile environment you're going to see at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night? That's a tough test.
I think that's going to be sort of the, in a sense, measurement of how your team is truly, how they're built, what's their mentality. Is you come off an embarrassment. And we understand that, listen, that team was much better than Nashville going in, and we understood it. You couldn't give them any opportunities, and Nashville gave them opportunities, and they capitalized. But I think, the next game is how do you fare in this next game? Do you continue to, go downhill, or you allow that loss to compound another loss, or do you – okay, that was that game. Now we push forward. Whether it's a win or a loss, how do you play that next game?
Yeah, can you get that by it? And that's what Andrew Burnett said. He goes, I love the effort. I love how they kept fighting. You can see how bad they want to succeed. And that's a good thing. They got off to a really good start in Boston. Tomorrow night, I think it'll be important for them to get off to a good start against the Rangers because it can snowball. It can snowball in a hurry there if you don't. So we've talked a lot about the offensive issues. The other issue is the defensive, right? So it's what are you getting, right? So we've talked about it. They're getting a lot of chances to score, way more than they've scored.
Right.
But what also are you giving up? I think they are going to give up more chances the way they play, right? It's hard to say we're going to go all out, we're going to throw caution to the wind, we're going to attack and then not give up anything on the other side. That's almost impossible. So they are going to give up their share. That's why they can't fuel the fire with undisciplined penalties and, breakdowns in the defensive zone that are maybe more avoidable, right? And they did get exposed last night in that area too. So they got to sharpen up defensively too.
And one thing that I've noticed when you mentioned kind of the veteran guys, not just the Forsbergs and the Yossi's, but what can we call those 3? The new trio, O'Reilly, Nyquist, Luke Schenn, of not getting as much production from those guys. And I said that after game 1. I said, I think that's going to be how you win games this season, is getting a majority of your production from the veteran guys, the O'Reillys and the Forsbergs, but also getting supplementary points and supplementary goals from some of the young guys as they make some progress. And then there's going to be a point in the season, and there's going to be a point over the next couple of years where you start to see that shift, where the young guys start to carry a majority of the load. But where we're at right now, it's all about development for the young guys. So the older veterans are going to have to carry the young guys, and they will be able to supplement it. I think that's kind of what I've noticed, as I haven't seen that carrying of the load from some of the veterans.
Right. And I think, in fairness, I don't think Ryan O'Reilly and Gus Nyquist, for example, are guys that are going to carry an offense. Those guys are steady, two-way players that are going to score, but they're not going to dominate. And I think they've both played well. I think they've both played very well for their capability. But they're just different kind of players. They should be setting things up for a guy like Forsberg. Now, that's a guy that I think if you look at his shot volume, he's falling into that category of he's getting his shots, and nothing has gone in.
Right.
But I think he's played pretty well. I mean, last night maybe not quite as well as the first 3 games, but I thought he had been pretty dynamic. It's only a matter of time to me. It's like the Bryce Harpers of the world, the great hitters. Eventually they're going to hit. The goal scorers eventually are going to score. And I think that's going to be Forsberg if he keeps being engaged the way he is. Yossi, he has not done his thing either. That's another guy that I feel like will, in time, he's going to get going, right? He's adjusting to the new system and how he fits the new way they're playing. And I do think that's maybe a bigger challenge for him with all of his skill set, but he's a great player, and great players will eventually produce.
Joey from Gallatin texts in along those lines. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Says, I feel like Forsberg isn't the elite finisher that we need him to be. He has more potential than the rest of the team, but by far the least amount of production lately.
He's gotten some assists. I think he's got 3 assists. He and Yossi, and as it should be, this is how they draw it up. Yeah. They've got the most shots. But neither of them have a goal, which is strange. Yossi has led the team in scoring 4 straight years. Forsberg's right there behind him. So obviously in the formula, those guys have got to get their points if this team has any chance of being competitive. So, it's time to get it going for sure. But they're getting looks. There's no question in my mind. Glass is another guy. He doesn't have a goal yet. I see him. He's made a lot of tips. He's making good plays. Sooner or later, they should start to go in. Is he going to score 30? No, I don't think so. But should he be chipping in? Yes. Tomasino, Novak, those are guys that need to chip in. No individual can carry the team, but it's got to happen by committee. That's sort of the design. And so there's certain guys getting the chances and a few others that aren't getting as many chances. So at some point, you wonder, is Andrew Burnett going to try a couple different guys? They've got this kid, Fagemo, who they picked up off of waivers. He's got some scoring tools, right? But they haven't tried him yet. They're trying to acclimate him. He's probably pushing to get a shot from somebody or, somewhere in there. So these are all things to keep your eye on.
And that's kind of the tough balance of, that this team needs time. That this team needs to build chemistry with so many new pieces. But when's the right time to make a change?
Yeah. It's a great question because you've got all these real young guys in Milwaukee, none of which I don't think are ready today. But if somebody like a Joakim Kemmel lights it up for half a season in Milwaukee, at some point they're going to say, "Well, I wonder what that would look like for Nashville." That you hope that happens, right? In the big picture, these guys have to get there eventually. You got to give them some time, right? Four games is enough. You're asking the question though: is how much time do you give them before you say, "Well, it may not happen"? Like we saw what happened with Eli Tolvanen, right? They got to a point after 100. He played over 100 games. Yeah. And they're like, I don't think this is going to happen here. And as soon as they let him go, it started happening for Seattle. So sometimes it's really hard to know what a player is going to look like if you give him the time to grow. But in this environment, getting back to where we started, the expectation level is a little lower. You're kind of in that mindset of let's see what we have. This isn't the urgency, have to win this year today.
It's the balance of what Barry Trotz said is we're going to slow cook these guys versus what PK Subban said after the Tampa Bay, after the first period of the Tampa Bay game. Can't wait until 20 games in to wake up. You're already out of the playoffs by then. One texter says, Preds are just like the Tennessee Titans. They both suck. This is what happens when you don't spend the money on good players.
4 games, they suck?
Everybody sucks.
Gosh, man. They haven't even changed skates yet. Like, they haven't even worn through a pair of skates, and they suck already? Good Lord, I would hate to be a player in these day and ages.
Rain Man, the Preds roster is awful. Hopefully we don't hold on to Trotz for 20 years.
Wow, goodness gracious.
What they put in some people's Wheaties this morning.
Ooh, man, they are on.
They're hungry.
You know what it is? I think it's a residual effect of what's happening across the river, and now it's bleeding into what's happening at Bridgestone. And it's like, man, we just started the season. I mean, that's like saying the Titans suck after basically 1 game, because essentially that's what it is. They played 4, and in NFL equivalent, they may still be in preseason.
Yeah, it's halftime.
Exactly, and you're saying they suck already? Wow.
Barry
man.
Trott's on the hot seat, apparently.
Man, Barry, they need
At the fork.
Are y'all firing Barry already? Good Lord.
Happy
man.
Wednesday, everybody. Willie, safe travels to New York.
Yes.
Seeing Peter
Looking
Laviolette,
forward to
our
it. I'll check in
favorite,
with you guys from the Big Apple tomorrow.
All right, sounds great. Willie,
Go
safe
ahead
travels.
and take a bite out of the apple, Willie.
All right, we'll do. I'll try to leave it in one piece.
All right, we'll get back into your phones on this. But coming up next, I want to get a temperature of the fan base because yesterday we heard from so many fans in our text line and our phone lines of we're ready to move on to the next core of the Tennessee Titans. We're ready to move on from Tannehill to Will Levis. But are they also ready to move on from Mike Vrabel? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Green right, box 2 run, double catch. He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback. Wide 85, take! Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, time to tell you about Loan Pronto. As I've been saying for a long time now, really all fall. If you're looking for a new home or if you're looking for a new investment property and you're one of those people, the Dream Home Bridge Loan could be for you, for Loan Pronto, because it's a tool to use to get the cash you need to make the right down payment on your dream home or that investment property. Ask about it by calling 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. It can help you make the clean offer because you'll have the cash in just a matter of days. Very little paperwork. Usually no appraisal is needed. So call that number, get the process started. Then you can go after the house you want with no contingency. Then when your current house sells, the bridge loan completely disappears. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, 166 NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I get my Dunks every morning. I grew up with Dunkin' in Boston, and it's been my favorite ever since. Fall in love with Dunkin's pumpkin coffee, lattes, muffins, and donuts. Made with their signature high-quality coffee, each sip and bite is sure to delight. Perfect for those cool autumn mornings or as a sweet treat any time of day. You won't be able to resist the delicious pumpkin flavor. Get pumped for pumpkin. Stop by Dunkin' today.
The new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium is here. Switch to my plan from Verizon at your local store today, and you'll get the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro on us with Unlimited Ultimate when you trade in any iPhone, any model, any condition. Guaranteed. Yep, even the old phone in your pocket right now. It's your Verizon. $999.99, 128 gigabyte only. Device payment purchase or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on Unlimited Ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in or promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR.
Get ready to dig into the future of construction. Look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with link belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, link belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit parmantractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
I'm Chase McCabe with your PBR Minute. The Nashville Stampede and the Professional Bull Riders Team Series head to Las Vegas this weekend for the team's championships. And it will be Nashville Stampede as the 7 seed taking on the Oklahoma Freedom, the 4 seed. Head coach Justin McBride gave his thoughts on the Freedom.
You know, they're a pretty scrappy group. They've got some guys that will surprise people. They're a group, I think, that gets overlooked at times because they've had a lot of shaking and moving going on in their lineup all season long. But there's some guys that can ride some bulls on that lineup. The main thing for us is to not really be concerned with Oklahoma. It's to be concerned with the bulls that we've got under each guy. That's all we can control. We can't control what Oklahoma does. All we can control is what we do on each bull that we have. and that's where our focus needs to be.
That's the PBR Teams Championship in Las Vegas this weekend, October 20th through the 22nd.
Green Trees Company Dispensary and 102.5 The Game want to send you to see Kiss at Bridgestone Arena October 23rd. Keep listening to Nashville's best sports talk for your chance to win tickets to see Kiss on their End of the Road tour, courtesy of Green Trees Company Dispensary.
Hey Smashville, this is Andrew Burnett, and you're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. And then we'll take
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We will chat with Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mic with Hutton Withrow in 30 minutes. We'll get his breakdown of what he saw on Sunday in London against Baltimore, and also where the Tennessee Titans go from here. But I have a question for Titans fans. Callers, texters, weigh in 615-737-1025. Yesterday we were talking about Tannehill. And Mike Vrabel said in his press conference on Monday, if Ryan's good to go, if Ryan's healthy, Ryan is going to be starting. And I think that gives you the best chance to win. This season is still salvageable. As bad as the Titans have looked 4 out of the 6 games of the season, you can still win more games with Tannehill than you can with Malik or Will Levis. But a majority of who we heard from yesterday said, no, tear it down. We're done. No more Tannehill. He stinks. Put Will Levis in. We're ready for the future. Now, I disagree with that because I think putting Will Levis behind this offensive line is, calling for him to just, honestly get ruined. And I think the second thing is, I think that might get to a point at this point in the season. There might get to a point where I say, yeah, you know what? You're out of it. Just focus for the future. But right now, I'm not there yet. But if everyone is so done with this team, done with the quarterback, done with the running back, done with the season, are they also done with Mike Vrabel?
I don't know. I don't think people are frustrated. Fans are frustrated. And they don't see, any way out of the situation that the Titans are in now. Mm-hmm. They don't think that this team – I can see if this team, they started off the way they started because of injuries. And you're waiting on, John Runyon to come back or Brad Hopkins to come back.
They're not walking through that door.
Zach Benji. They're waiting on these guys to come back off an injury.
Yeah.
But they're not. These guys are gone. They're retired. They're not. B-Hop probably can still play after, he's lost some weight and all this other stuff. He looks more like a power forward than a tackle. But this
probably
team,
better than
exactly,
any other options the team's got.
Absolutely. He may be better than the options that we have now. But I think the fan base is like, there's nobody coming to rescue this team. Mm-hmm. So if there's no one coming to rescue this team, then what are we waiting on? Like, why aren't we testing out what we have behind Ryan Tannehill? Because I think we can all agree that Ryan Tannehill is not horrible, but he's not great. He's a good quarterback.
He is what he is.
He is a good quarterback.
And he's been what he is
exactly.
for the last 3
Vrabel
seasons.
told us this a few years ago when he got on that podium after that loss and said, listen, we have to be great around him. And the minute he said that, the light went off like, man, he doesn't think this guy can win him games in playoffs.
Do you think he can win you games in playoffs?
I don't.
Yeah.
But
I don't think he can win you a Super Bowl.
he tried to walk it back some. But his first initial, what he said, when he said that, I'm like, he's right.
We knew what
and fans listened to him and the fans were like, no, that's not, no, but it was the case. Mm-hmm. And now you're starting to see it, that the quarterback, because he's just a good quarterback, a solid quarterback, a starter in this league, because the roster around him isn't good, he can't elevate that roster. It's usually with Ryan in the past, it was the roster elevated him. Now that roster cannot elevate him, which leaves him in a position where now fans are saying, let's just move on.
Yeah.
There are some fans that just doesn't like Ryan Tannehill, and I get it, because of what happened to Cincinnati 2 years ago, and that was, supposedly the road was paid for them to go to the Super Bowl because everything had to come through Nashville. So some fans are still a little bit upset about that.
I'm still salty about that.
And I get it. I understand it because you only get so few of these opportunities. But the roster that they have now, and the fans see it like there's nobody coming here to help him. He can't do it. He can't elevate them, but there's nobody around him to elevate him. So let's just move on. Let's get to the next guy and see what happens. We need to get to the next guy sooner rather than later. I think that's how fans, I'm hoping that's how fans feel. I'm hoping they don't just dislike Ryan Tannehill.
And it could be a little bit of both. It could be we're just ready to turn the page. And when we look at it through the scope of Mike Vrabel, everyone is mad at Ryan Tannehill. Everyone thinks that Ryan Tannehill absolutely stinks. But you bring up a very fair point about what Mike Vrabel said. We have to be great around him. Well, you're not great around him. And whose fault is that? Partly it's Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
I mean, he is not innocent in all of this. I mean, part of the reason why Ryan Tannehill struggled the past couple of seasons, why this team struggled, is because of the offensive coordinator. Well, that's Vrabel's decision. That's Vrabel's guy. When John Robinson got fired, we all know that Mike Vrabel was given significantly more decision power. We don't know who has final say, but I kind of have an idea of who probably has final say, and I think it's probably Vrabel. Well, if he said that we have to be great around Ryan Tannehill, then why did you get a discount left tackle and San Francisco's backup right guard? Because you need to be great around Ryan Tannehill. But you're not great around Ryan Tannehill, and partly that's on you.
Well, I think what is happening here is for the last, since Mike Vrabel got here, and I think Mike Vrabel has been a good coach.
He is a good coach.
He's been a good coach here. But I think people forget what Malarkey had already put in place, what he started, what he kind of put in motion. He put a playoff team in motion. Vrabel took it and ran with it and enhanced it along with John Robinson. And all we heard was, he basically was Vrabel's the Messiah. Nobody can touch him. It's everybody else's fault. He walks on water. He turns water into wine.
In Vrabel we trust.
And these were all the things like, in Vrabel we trust.
Yeah.
Those are things that people were saying. In Vrabel, and here's the sort of I'm not going to say hypocrisy of some of the fans, but here's how some of these fans think. At first, it was in John Robinson we trust.
That's
and then when he got fired, it was like, I'm glad he gone. Oh, my goodness. Everything that's been going on is John Robinson's fault. It's like, didn't y'all just say like a couple months ago
in
John
Robinson we trust?
But then he gets fired in the middle of the season when, frankly, you kind of wonder why was it done in the middle of the season, but that's
which
ownership.
Also was
exactly. It was like, why? But that's ownership.
A ridiculous decision.
Exactly. It's your franchise, Amy. You do what you feel is best for your franchise. But the minute you left, everybody turned their back on John Robinson. To me, for so long, you've said Mike Vrabel has basically been immune from everything. You can't blame Mike for anything. It's always somebody else's fault. It's the coordinator's fault. It's the GM's fault. It's this guy's fault. It's the special teams coach fault. But nobody ever, it's like the kid, it's like a parent that has a badass kid, but want to blame everybody else around, but not looking at who's actually doing.
Like you're getting F's, but because your teacher isn't teaching you well enough.
Oh, well, they're not teaching you well enough.
Right, it's everyone else's fault.
Everybody else's fault except your kids.
Right.
I think that's what we were having here. And again, I'm not saying Mike is a bad coach. I think Mike is a good coach. But even good coaches can do things that may hamper, the progress of their team. They may do things in game that, you question. That doesn't mean like necessarily like as a whole he's a bad coach. Things happen. But nobody wanted to point at Mike. Everybody wanted to point at everything else around him. Well, not everything else around him is gone. So it's like they don't want to do it, but they almost have to. Again, I'm not saying fire Mike. I'm not. I think Mike's a good coach. I think right now this roster's just not good for whatever reason, But some of this that's happening should be laid right at his feet.
Because with great power comes great responsibility. And now you have been given more responsibility, and you're the last one standing. And yes, some of these roster problems are, the remnants of poor draft classes by John Robinson. Yeah, absolutely. But there's going to be a time, and I think that time is now, where we got to stop blaming John Robinson for everything. Was the A.J. Brown trade a bad idea? Yes, it was, and it's hurting the football team. But you have to move on from it. You have to continue to do whatever you can to build up this roster. And now that's on Mike Vrabel's shoulders. I don't think that he should be fired. I still think that Mike is a very good coach. But I understand fans that are saying, look, we want more. And if you're the one saying that we have to be great around Ryan Tannehill, and you're the one who's in charge of picking those players to be great around Ryan Tannehill, and you're not getting those players to be great around Ryan Tannehill, and you're losing games because of it, well, who else are we supposed to point the finger at?
We can only point at, the guy that supposedly, and again, I don't want this to be, pointed at Rand because he just got here. And
also, I don't think any of us think that Rand Carthon has the final decisions in this
because
organization.
It seems like that is sort of the narrative, whether it's true or not, that, Rand comes in, but ultimately Mike has the say on the roster. I don't know if that's true or not, but all we hear is we're doing this together, Collaboration. There's, transparency. This is what we're doing together. So if that's what we're doing together, then when the roster's not bad, when the roster's not good, who do we sit here and point the finger at? Do we point it at Rand? Do we point it at Mike? Do we point it at Amy? Who do we point it to? Because no one seems to have the authority to say this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It seems like, and I understand there needs to be collaboration in business in order for it all to work.
But there also needs to have an ultimate decision maker.
Somebody needs to have to be the decision maker. Is it Amy? Is it Rand? Is it Mike? Everybody seems to believe it's Mike. I don't know who it is.
Because I don't really think that necessarily Amy should have final say of, should we get this right tackle or that right tackle?
But she should
That's
have
not
say,
her job.
She should have say over, hey, listen, the money's that is spent.
Yes. And
go out and
get
me the best left tackle. Go out and get me the best wide receiver, and I'm going to pay for it. Whatever, just go out and get that guy. But it doesn't seem like that was the case because they didn't go get the best left tackle. They had an opportunity to, but they didn't.
They got a left tackle that might be worse than Dennis Daly.
Yeah, you got a point there. And in regards to wide receivers, it took them damn near up until training camp to get them a wide receiver. And they may have overpaid for him because nobody else wanted to give. They wanted him on their team, but they didn't want to go to the dollar amount. So you were able to, this is what I don't understand in regards to that. You were able to find the monies to give to D-Hop that nobody else was going to give, but you couldn't find the money to pay a top-notch, a guy that was starting at left tackle. You didn't have enough money to go get a guy that you knew could play. You went and got a guy that you hoped can play because he wasn't the starter.
Hope is not a strategy.
It's like, I hope he can play. Instead of getting a guy that you saw on the field last year, a lot of snaps, and say, okay, this guy is worth this money. Let me go out and get him. No, you went out and got a guy that wasn't playing.
And along those same lines of just things that just don't make sense, you're paying your center $4 million a year to get pancaked.
Yeah, see, now that right there is a Vrabel. That's a Vrabel thing. That I think that center issue is a Vrabel thing. It can't be on anybody else but Vrabel. Because why? Rand Carthon didn't know him. Rand Carthon didn't know Brewer.
Tougher than a $2 steak.
Rand Carthon didn't know him. None of his people that he brought in, they didn't know Brewer.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know, what type of player he truly was. Who did?
Vrabel.
And who decided to pay him?
Vrabel.
And now you're not reaping the rewards you thought you were going to reap.
Your line is hurting for it.
Exactly.
I see your phones lining up, and we are right to those coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He knows the ins and outs of the Titans and isn't afraid to give his opinion.
Traylon Burks needs a massive offseason.
He's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick.
I don't see how they make a move without going to Ryan Tannehill.
Catch him every Monday at 10:30 on Chase McCabe and every Wednesday at noon on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase. Hutton is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey there, time to tell you once again about F&M Bank. You've heard me talking about these guys a lot lately and all the ways they can help you and your family. Shout out to business owners out there. Owning your own business, and if you're a business owner, you probably know this. It's like having another member of your family. Success takes time, it requires money, attention, and you need the right tools to help it grow. That's where F&M Bank will treat your business like family. That's their motto. No matter what your business goals are, you're going to reach them easier when you have a banking relationship that supports you and the tools to manage your money coming in and going out. Plus, they have the expertise to make that business better. So, choose F&M Bank to help your business. Bank your business there. Decisions made locally from a bank where your business means more. It's time to stop by one of their 20 convenient locations around our listening area. Midtown Nashville, downtown Franklin, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, up in the Bluegrass State. Chances are there's one located right near you. So find your nearest location by going to myfmbank.com. That's myfmbank.com. We take it to the bank on Friday with F&M Bank, an equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. If you have some things around your home that you've been putting off fixing, like your regular HVAC maintenance or a clogged bathroom drain, Hiller has some big discounts this month. When the temperature drops and you start using your heater for the first time, you do not want to be dealing with breakdown issues, and this month, Hiller is offering half off HVAC tune-up. And Hiller is bringing back their $99 drain cleaning special. These deals only last this month, so be sure to call today. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds of Falls and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Get ready to elevate your game day experience. Titans fans, it's all happening at Mimo Bar on Titans Terrace. Just a short walk from the bridge at First and Demumbrian. They've got your epic pregame and postgame covered with their Italian classics and sensational cocktails. Your senses will be on a joyride. And hey, listen to this. Everyone at the Titans Terrace gets a chance to bag a Gibson Guitars merch bundle, a $100 Mimo postgame gift card, or a weekend brunch for two. So why wait? Mimo Bar, where Nashville's heritage meets Italian flavor.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
If you are experiencing persistent shoulder pain that may be the result of overuse or an injury such as a rotator cuff tear or tendonitis, the world-class orthopedic team at Houston Clinic Orthopedics will give you the appropriate medical attention to prevent any additional damage to the shoulder. Chronic pain or a permanent injury may occur without proper treatment. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is conveniently located where you work and live. Visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
keeping it local.
The Titans get a big win.
Well, Derrick Henry's on the field. It's like, all right, what's going to happen?
And fun.
Bad time to get Florida. They're going to be mad.
Oh, my goodness.
Every day, it's Chase McCabe.
I was sitting here going, I think I'm going to watch Batman 1989 tonight.
And Big Joe Dubin.
That's your plan for tonight?
Probably, yeah. I need a night.
The Chase and Big Joe Show. Brought to you by Regal Realty Group. Weekdays at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The offensive line has struggled blocking all season long. It's not a new problem. We experienced that last year. Why wasn't there more done in the offseason to address that position group?
Well, I would disagree that they've struggled. They've struggled on third down, hasn't been our best. Ran the football yesterday against a team that there hadn't been too many 10 and 12-yard runs on that clip. So I think we stood up to them and we blocked them. And, I thought the protection against Indy, if we can stay out of a drop-back passing game, I think that's really critical. I would say that's a tall order for us and a lot of other teams. Is just when you get into a drop-back passing game. So I think that's something that we certainly want to make sure that we complement our run game and our offense with the ability to move the pocket, ability to max up. We saw a lot of those cool opportunities against Indy. Didn't have enough of them against Baltimore when we did have some of those play passes. But we'll have to be better on third down when they do run games and pressure. So that's where we're at right now.
What? He disagrees that the offensive line is struggling? Are we watching the same games? And this is another reason why I don't blame a lot of Titans fans that are incredibly frustrated with Mike Vrabel, because it's answers like that. Like, oh, the line's struggling. I disagree. What do you mean? Your quarterback's hurt.
You know what, Caroline, that was a good question, by the way.
Thank you.
And it put him on a spot, so much so that, I didn't – and listen, I don't know, the intricacies of their offense. I don't know how their offense – and unless you're in that room, you don't know truly who's supposed to do what, when they're supposed to do it. You're just basing it off what you've seen. And kind of going from there. We all kind of sort of, unless you have like that inside guide to what's going on. But when he says that we don't want to get into a drop back, so what do you mean, Coach? Every team does drop back, don't they?
So you're saying the offensive line can't pass block?
That's basically what he's saying.
So your offensive line can't do 50% of what it needs to do.
Exactly. He answered your question, but he didn't answer it, but he did. He tried to outsmart you and anybody else that was listening. But he basically answered your question. We don't want to get into a drop back. So, Coach, what do you mean by you don't want to? Are you saying you can't drop back 20 times a game? What are you saying? Because every team at some point, every team at some point gets into a drop back. So basically, you're treating us like we're dumb.
Yeah, like I can watch the games,
exactly.
Mike.
Like you're treating us as if we're dumb or we don't know like the game of football. Mm-hmm. We may not know it like you, and I'm excluding sort of myself and those.
You can do that. That's all right.
But I still don't know it quite like a coach would know it. But what he's saying is that he can say that we're ignorant to the fact because we don't know exactly what they're doing.
I don't know what
and I can agree, and I can agree with that. But your answer didn't make sense.
You're lying.
Yeah, because you answered, you said, Caroline, you're right. We're not that good. But you try to spin it and make it sound good. Like, we don't want to get into a drawback. Well, Coach, isn't that what every team does at some point?
Right.
They drop, whether it be 5 times a game. Some teams, 6 times a game, 10 times a game. Some teams do it 50% of the time. I don't know. But so what you're saying is, Coach, we can't drop back to pass the football, which means Caroline's question to you is absolutely right.
And my question is, why didn't you do more?
Exactly. So I didn't understand, he tried to kind of go around it, but you basically answered her question. Listen, our offensive line isn't good. That's what it is. And I don't want to come out and say that, but I'm going to say, well, we don't want to get into a drop back game.
I disagree. They don't struggle blocking. You're lying. Yes, they do struggle blocking.
Everybody sees it. Ryan Tannehill. And then you say, well, we don't going to get our quarterback hurt and all. Well, your quarterback's hurt.
Your quarterback is hurt.
So it's just sometimes I think coaches approach it. And I get it. I understand why. Mm-hmm. But sometimes coaches and some players approach it as if the fans or the person that is asking the question doesn't know football. Mm-hmm. And then they answer it as if they don't know football. But when we hear it out loud, it's like, that doesn't make sense,
Don't
man.
talk down to me.
That doesn't make, what you're saying doesn't compute. It just doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it just doesn't. It just didn't sound right.
It makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah. No sense. Titans and Truth is on the line with a thought on Mike Vrabel. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Caroline. It's the D-Mase. You know what? I'm with y'all on this, and I've even said this publicly myself. I'm sick and tired of Mike Vrabel because simply he's arrogant. He feels entitled, and his arrogance is destroying this team, and we are seeing it unravel. You have lost 11 of your last 13 games, and we want to blame everything else. Everybody else wants to say, he doesn't have the personnel. He doesn't have the team. Okay, you drafted Peter Skoronski at tackle. He was an all-pro tackle in college. Why are you not playing him at tackle? Who made the decision, you know what, I'm going to put this all-American tackle, I'm going to put him at guard? Who made that choice? Mike Vrabel did. Who said put Aaron Brewer at center and pay him $4 million when he's supposed to be tougher than a $2 steak? Mike Vrabel did that. Again, yes, Rand might have helped pick the player, but whose job is it to put the players in the best position to succeed? That is on coaching. And if you have a bad offensive line, then what a good coach would do is you put the players in the better position to hide deficiency. Malik, yes. If we got to go with Malik, yes, Malik looked bad. He looked bad against the Baltimore Ravens. But Mike Vrabel is not putting him in the best position to try to be successful. You're setting him up to fail at the end, and he gives no accountability to himself whatsoever. This coach better, play better, do better crap, it's old. It's old. We're tired of hearing that. I mean, if you at least could say, this is my fault. I screwed this up. Nobody else but me. He's never once done that. And until he holds himself more accountable, Mike Vrabel is holding this team back. He is good enough to just get us to the playoffs, but we'll never win a Super Bowl with him as head coach.
Chris, you're the best. Love you. We'll chat with you soon. Thanks for calling.
Oh, man, I won't go that far to say he's holding the team back. I'm not going to go that far. But, I mean, I think what I'm hearing, in what we're seeing on text, I think people have gotten, not all Titan fans, I think there is a group of Titan fans that have gotten to a point where, okay, enough is enough. You're not winning, and listen, whether he, as a head coach and as a player, there has to be this level of, whether you want to call it arrogance or confidence, because there are fine lines.
A level of ego.
Yeah, ego. You got all of that. You got to have all of that to play in this sport, especially to play at a high level and a coach at a high level. You have to have a bit of all that rolled into one. But I think now the fans are starting to get tired of, like we talked about, talking as if we are not watching the game. Talking as if we are not watching this offensive line play. talking as if we didn't see whether it was true or not. Schwartzy on the sideline laughing. Now, whether he was laughing at the Titans' offensive line or he was just laughing because, hey, it's end of the game, we're winning.
I'd probably laugh at this Titans' offensive line, too.
But because of all of that, the fans are like, we're done with it.
Yeah.
On top of you not winning, you come off as arrogant.
And there needs to go, because I do agree with you that every player and coach in this league, it's a tough league.
Yeah.
You need to have a level of ego, but you also need to have a level of self-awareness.
Yeah.
A point where you say, this is not good enough, and I need to be better. And Mike Vrabel, and I think it's clear to anyone that's watched a single second of Titans football that this offensive line isn't just not good enough, it's awful. And it's holding this team back. And Mike Vrabel said, well, I disagree. I think that the line is fine. We just can't get in drop back situations. So you're either one, gaslighting the fans into acting like everything is all fine and dandy, or two, you're too arrogant to acknowledge that the offensive line you put together just simply isn't good enough. And either of those situations, honestly, are unacceptable. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow, will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans, where they are now and where they go from here. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
It's football season, and with a game every week, there's no better time to make the switch to Zen Sports. When you sign up to Zen Sports with code D-Mason, that's D-M-A-S-O-N, you will earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. Download today on the App Store or at zensports.com. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet-Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
This is Nick Frazier. It's week 6, and players are starting to get banged up around the league. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is day-to-day with a bruised shoulder on his throwing arm. Trevor Lawrence is still listed with a knee sprain, and his availability is still in question for Thursday night in New Orleans. And lastly, Ryan Tannehill with his high ankle sprain on his right leg. According to ESPN, Tannehill ranks 31st in QBR. Will the Titans fans see Ryan Tannehill return as the starting quarterback after the bye week versus the Atlanta Falcons? Or will we see Malik Willis or Will Levis behind the center? Here was head coach Mike Vrabel when he spoke to the media about the possibility of seeing another quarterback besides Ryan Tannehill after the bye week.
It'll be one of those two guys if Ryan can't go. I don't know who that would be yet. We'll see how they continue to practice. So I'm excited to get both those guys some reps with.
Listen for more on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
I think he's got a coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Look at the time.
Look at the time. It is Hutton o'clock. Noon on a Wednesday. It is Jonathan Hutton o'clock. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow joins us now. Hutton, our favorite time of the week when you come and join us. Rough one in London for the Tennessee Titans. And we had a lot of callers and texters throughout the entire week say, bench Tannehill, we're done with Tannehill. They were enraged when Mike Vrabel said if Tannehill's healthy enough to go, he's going to be our starter. What do you think the Titans need to do at the quarterback position?
Well, if he's healthy enough to go, they should go with him. He's the best quarterback on the roster. To this point, Will Levis hasn't been able to beat out Malik Willis, and that's telling. Considering what we saw from Malik Willis. And that's with me also adding in, Willis looked pretty good in the preseason, but this offense and Tannehill, he's got to be the leader of that quarterback spot. And as long as he can go, yeah, he's the guy. If not, I mean, there's a lot of discussion about what happens over the bye week here and whether or not we'll see Levis coming out against Atlanta. I don't know about you guys. I have a suspicion, and I think we're trending towards seeing both guys in against Atlanta. I don't know if that's the best option or not.
Like both Willis and Levis?
Yeah, I do. I'm just saying that because we haven't seen Will Levis yet, and Malik Willis gives them an option in the run game in a different area that they can play with the scheme that we saw. Again, I'm not saying it's a great option. Do they have the jump with the backup option? I mean, I think if Tannehill goes, by the way, I think at minimum Will Levis should be the backup quarterback for that game. But I think we're trending more and more towards seeing both. And it's either just going to be because simply Willis isn't cutting it, or they're going to have something in the game plan for the backup QB, which would be Levis in my scenario.
And I'm with you that if Tannehill can't go, I'd like to at least see Levis get an opportunity. But what concerns me is the fact that Levis hasn't won the backup job yet.
Yeah. And well, I mean, he was injured during camp, and by this point, you would like to see him make that move, right? Malik Willis has been sacked on 17.5% of his career dropbacks. That's the second highest rate for any quarterback with 50 or more pass attempts in the last 30 seasons. And it was Luke Falk, by the way, who's higher. At minimum, he's got. I think you elevate Levis just for the sheer point of it seems like he's the guy moving forward, not Willis as the starter next season if we're just projecting here. But he's been third string all season, getting no reps, getting no opportunities in meeting rooms to have responsibilities. I mean, he's got responsibilities, but not like the backup would have. It's like a redshirt quarterback, except the draft capital points to a massive mess. And if he doesn't play in 13 days or moving on now 11 days, what was the point in not in training up to grab him for the second consecutive year they've drafted a QB? And at this point, guys, I think we know Malik Willis is a backup quarterback at best in the National Football League.
At best.
They may have a potential starter in Levis. I would make that move. I don't know. It's just a suspicion that I think we'll see both guys. And that's just to see what both would have within a game plan that they would try to mix and match. I don't agree with it. It's just a bet that I would make. It's like betting on the draw in soccer.
Now, Hut, with that being said, because the fans are, and I get it, the fans, they see what's going on in the AFC South, and they see these three quarterbacks, and, they see the three teams, Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville, and they see that, okay, they found their quarterbacks, whether we can debate whether they're franchise quarterbacks or not, but The
Right.
fans are looking at it as if, okay, those 3 teams got their quarterback of the future. The Titans are sitting here basically in purgatory. They know that Malik Willis, at least from the fans' perspective, isn't the future. They know Tannehill, this is his last season, and they're wondering about Will Levis. Is he the guy? So I think fans are now like, listen, this roster's not good enough to make a true push for playoffs. Let's see what this young guy can do, because ultimately, if you don't see what he can do this season, then you're praying and hoping next season when you finally do get an opportunity for him to play and show that he's worth what you thought he was worth and that he's going to be your future quarterback. Because if he's not, the fans are going to be even more pissed at you, because they're going to say you had an opportunity to put him in the season that you know was lost, so we can see what we had, but you didn't, and now we've lost out on the quarterbacks of this draft.
Well, and let's take it a step further, because even if, and it's not even if, within that building, Vrabel is focused on 2023.
Exactly.
And at 2-4, even if outside the building, we would say, you know what, there's a path to the playoffs here. I know that Vrabel's preaching that within his circle at St. Thomas Sports
And he
Park.
should.
And he should. There's a number of teams that have 3 wins. The Titans have 2. And you've certainly got right in front of you in the AFC South 2 teams there. But also, I mean, the Jets right now are 3-3. You know, they're thinking playoff. The thing is, though, Mace, and I don't, by the way, I don't disagree with you on the mentality of the fans or the fact that you're looking at a season that doesn't seem to be getting much better down the path here. This is where I think there's a bit of just an uncertainty. The feeling going into this season was, okay, there are certain areas where the offensive line has to hold up. The quarterback play, can they keep him healthy? Tannehill I'm talking about, and you kind of knew with his ankle and the changes weren't going to be great early on. They've reached this point now. But the feeling I have of where this is all headed is pretty evident, given how this team is playing. They're not playing like the other group of teams that have started slow but have that QB that is getting healthier, or have the identity that they've been running with. They just haven't been winning ball games. Whether Tannehill is healthy or not, or to me, it doesn't really matter. I'm not saying it happens now if Tannehill is capable of playing, but at 2-4, the season is capable of being lost in a very short stretch, right when they return from the bye week. The vibe is different with this team. It just seems like a bunch of dudes that are just keeping their head down. It doesn't feel like the tight-knit groups from the past, and that's where I think we really measure Vrabel's message moving forward, because the veterans, not just Tannehill, but Henry, Byard, Simmons, there's a group of them. They've always kept the tenor in the locker room straightforward, ignore the noise, find a way, make a play. Even when they were struggling, it's been really tight-knit. And I'm sure a big part of my feeling on just kind of the vibe of purgatory is all the roster turnover. But the smart players know that there's another big roster turnover coming this offseason too. It's going to be a hell of a rebuild. It'll be interesting to see how patient Amy Adams-Strunk is with all of that. And also, I'm intrigued, just a non sequitur here, I'm intrigued by the mentality of Tannehill, because last year he pushed through the ankle injury until he absolutely had to have the surgery in order to get back in case he could within a short time frame. I have no idea the severity, but that toughness and grit that he showed last season with how he stuck with it, trying to give everything he had, I'll never question his team first mentality. What that was last season, prior to ownership waving the white flag in early December and firing Robinson, and then starting that rebuild that they refused to fully embrace. And a year later, what happens with this injury now? With some players in situations like this, where guys know that they're not a part of the plan, and GMs are going to judge them, coaches will help them land a better gig with a possible better payday. And when injuries are on the fringe of opting for a procedure, contracts, relationships, and future outlooks all play a factor in the player's decision. It's something they'll never admit behind a podium, but you'll hear about behind the scenes. And that's got to be something that's crossing the mind of not just Tannehill, but others looking forward to, a run that kind of feels like eventually we're going to see the rookie quarterback. And that points to kind of the same mentality that we've seen from moves of last year. If they make it early in the season, you can get on a run. They went to VY his rookie year, and they went on a run, and things looked up on the up and up as you move forward. They need that from Levis to kind of propel them into next year. Tannehill knows he's not that guy, and I think we all know Willis is not that guy.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like, Malik is that guy, at least not a starter. And we don't know if Will Levis is that guy at all. But Carolina asked, Vrabel a question about the offensive line in regards to,
I heard it. Yeah.
Line. Yeah. And his answer.
Yep.
What did you think of his answer? In particular, the part where he says, we don't want to get into a drop back game. How did you understand that to be? Because I tell you how I understood it to be after you tell me how you understood it to be. When a coach says, after being asked that question, he says, we don't want to get into a drop back game.
You know what I thought? I'm sorry. Did you oversee the game plan that we rolled out in week 1? That's what I would be asking if I'm inside the building. They ignored the run game in the second half of week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. That was a drop back pass game. They don't want to get a drop back pass game, but he preaches, playing smart, ignoring the penalties, not ignoring them, trying to ignore the noise and focus and not have the big penalty. That's all they do. They're getting into a drop back pass game, not because the offensive line is blocking so well for the run game. They're getting into there because of mental errors and not correcting those types of mistakes that have been preached post-game after post-game. This group seems different. They went with some backup guys. And by the way, they gave money to John Robinson guys this offseason on the offensive line who were backups. So, this is their own doing if they want to ignore or try to get rid of the drop back pass game. It was inevitable given the situation here with the offense. And they brought it on in week 1. It's like that was their game plan. Exactly. So I don't know if he's trying to he wants to get down into third and run or pass, third and manageable. And that's what they haven't been able to do. They've been very good on first down and awful on third down.
Well, and you're right, and I sort of look at that from the standpoint of, and I told Carolyn this because we were discussing it before you came on. When you answer a question in that manner, when you say, "Well, we don't want to get into a drop back game," that's the league. That's the NFL, right?
So you can't do 50% of what the line needs to do.
Exactly. So what you're saying is, in essence, our line isn't good enough, but. And you didn't say that, but you did say that, and then you did say, "Well, our offensive line is not that bad. We're good in a sense." You can't say
we're pass protect.
You can't say you're good, but then say, "Well, we don't want to get into a drop back game." Are you saying you don't want to throw the ball 30, 40 times a game? I agree with you. I don't want you to throw the ball 30 or 40 times a game, but a drop back to me means I should be able to have the ability when I want to drop back 5 steps. Nobody's really doing 7-step drops no more unless they play action. I should be able to get into a 3-step or a 5-step drop game. I should be good enough to do that. But you're saying we're not, but we are. You're contradicting yourself in the same answer.
Well, the identity has been the run game. But, I can't help but think they've made Derrick Henry more or less he's not the backup, but he's splitting reps as a starter now. And on the O-line, if they're great at running the ball, let's see it. Get after it. And some of their best runs have been called back for penalties. But yeah, Mace, you're right. And the what they're trying to avoid is where the defense pins back the ears and gets after the quarterback.
And that's what every team wants to avoid.
What I saw them bring in this offseason just wasn't cutting it. And there are a lot of questions. And we didn't see much in the preseason. And here we are. They also don't have a great receiving core. They're ignoring the fact that they've got two backs that should be the engine to the offense. And meanwhile, they're setting up 3rd and longs. And that is a recipe for disaster with this offense.
And that's what is so crazy to me is I'll see Tim Kelly design and dial up great plays that sometimes just aren't executed very well. But then I see him, give Derrick Henry the ball 12 times against the Ravens, abandon the run in the second half. Derrick Henry's on the sideline when it's 3rd and 1 in the red zone, and Malik Willis isn't at quarterback. There are some things that seem great and obvious and really, really smart that Tim Kelly does, and then there are things that are obvious that he doesn't do. I'm thinking, what are you doing? Are you trying to win this football game?
Well, and some of it is they're only getting a certain number of carries because of the number of snaps. Mase mentioned they don't want to get into a 30 or 40 pass game. They're lucky to get to 40 plays. No team runs fewer plays per game than the Tennessee Titans. The clock runs a lot in Titans games, and the offense just doesn't keep the ball enough. And as a result, they don't score either due to lack of chances or the inability to actually put it through the end zone past the goal line. They run 16 fewer plays per game than the best offense in the National Football League. They're 26th in scoring. They're averaging 17 points per game. And they've got really one receiver because Traylon Burks, from what I'm told, is slow to get back. And that's frustrating for some behind the scenes. They need him back after the bye week to at least give them another option instead of Hopkins.
How much of the Titans' issues right now, whether it's play calling, personnel, so on and so forth, coaching overall, how much of that is due to Vrabel? Like, how much of the Titans situation that they're in right now, 2-4, tough questions that they're going to have to answer at the trade deadline, how much of that is on Mike Vrabel's shoulders?
Well, I mean, technically it starts and ends with him because he's the head coach, right? And he oversees the game plans. Yeah, exactly. He oversees the game plans. And look, it's also past awful acquisitions that are coming back to bite them with this roster. But they had options this offseason. They spent money on Dillard, who is, a backup now. And they spent money on a backup who's now a backup. That's my point. They've got a backup at center who now he's trying to level up at center moving forward, backup at guard, rookie at guard, and a piecemealing together right tackle because of a stupid suspension from the NFL with Nicholas Petit-Frere, who wasn't great last Sunday either. But this is more than just overseeing a game plan. I mean, this is in many cases just mental errors and awful play. I mean, it's just they're not executing. Players aren't good enough. And you've got Tannehill averaging under 161 yards per game passing on the road. And he's taken 11 sacks on the road. I'm counting London as a road game as well. And it took 10 quarters, by the way, to score an offensive touchdown on the road, 14 quarters to score a second touchdown. And in 16 quarters on the road, they have 0 passing touchdowns. They knew their wide receiver needed to be upgraded. They knew they needed more speed. Vrabel mentioned all of that. And instead, they passed on options they drafted a running back to be a boost to the passing game. And I mean, again, it's options that they had. They're taking flyers, they're playing the board as other teams play the board, and they play the board based on positions that will really help them going into the season. And I think the veterans on the roster are looking around going, man, we need help here. It starts with them. Simmons is pointing to guys that want to be there. Simmons is voicing frustration. I'm sure he's frustrated with his own play, just like Byard would be doing that. Henry, others. The top paid guys have to come through for Vrabel, and that's not happening right now.
Quickly, Hutton, what did you make of Jeffrey Simmons' comments in the locker room?
I think it's a combination of things. I take it seriously, by the way. I mean, I start there. And I think that's a signal of just the overall air and just kind of the temper of the locker room, even the off season. Like, are we going after Hopkins? Are we in a rebuild mode? Are we drafting 2 quarterbacks in back-to-back drafts to replace Tannehill? Is he going to be traded? Is Henry going to be traded? Look, there were a lot of questions with all of that. Uncertainty. Byard, was a big saga too. Simmons gets paid, and just pointing to him, he would admit this too. He's got to be a game wrecker. If the defensive front is not a storyline in the game recap, the Titans aren't winning that game. I don't even need to see the score. I can tell you the Titans aren't winning that game. It's either defensive front is dominant or they're not. And then they're in the game. They're getting the ball back. They're disruptive. They're not getting the ball back to the offense when it actually is truly needed in a critical situation for the most part. And they're giving up some awful penalties too that are bailing out the opposition. But I'm sure there are players that have voiced frustration or are acting like it behind the scenes, and Simmons is actually voicing it out of frustration after another loss. And according to, I believe, Marlon Humphrey, Simmons got into a fight with Odell Beckham Jr. after the game. You waited on Odell on the field, and these comments would come after all that took place. So, it was a mess.
Well,
it's a mess.
Hut, I saw the play, and we discussed it yesterday, and we can discuss this further some other time because we know we got to get you out of here.
Okay.
But that was a dirty play by Simmons. A dirty play, and I hated seeing it because he went at that young man's legs, and while two people already had him, and they were going to blow the whistle, but he deliberately, you can see it, he deliberately looked at him and went straight at his legs. You're 300 pounds, dude. And we're all here. This game is a physical game already, and we're all here to protect one another within reason. I understand that. But you don't go after a guy when he's sitting in a vulnerable position like that, and you outweigh him by over 100 pounds. Mm-hmm. To me, it was inexcusable. I understand why Odell said something to him. Some people say he need him. I don't know if he need him or not. But, hell, I would have need him, too, if he would have went at one of my guys like that. And then Simmons, on top of that, gets the penalty. So there's a lot of frustration going around, it seems, that locker room. And it's not just Jeffrey Simmons.
Again, Simmons, according to Humphreys, Simmons is, while they're walking off the field after swapping jerseys, Humphreys I'm talking about, Simmons has his helmet on, just staring and looking around. And he thought Simmons is looking for family members, and instead he was trying to find Odell, and then they end up in a situation after the game. It's intriguing, and you're right that the frustration boiled over. But if this keeps up, and think about what would happen in the locker room after a Falcons loss, and they go to 2-5. This is where Vrabel in the past has been able to keep the locker room on track, on path, on the road. And it's been the vets who have done that. Simmons has to be one of those guys, if not the guy, and it can't let it bleed over the way it did.
I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is the leader on this team. You got to keep your cool. Like I get the frustration. Right. I understand it. You need to keep your cool, and you're going to hurt the football team if you don't. And he did on Sunday.
Yes, exactly. And so just as well as those that are not wanting to be there are hurting the team, it's no different with Simmons in that particular situation.
Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton Withrow. Hutton, always appreciate you. Appreciate you for stopping by. We'll chat next week.
I always enjoy this. You guys have a great rest of the week.
All right, thanks, Hutton. We'll react to what Hutton had to say there. Plus, I'm glad that we brought up the Jeffrey Simmons comments because there may be a new saga in that, and we'll break it down coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Whatever your destination in life, you can get there easier with a checking account from F&M Bank. At F&M, our checking accounts give you the tools you need to manage your money well, like our smart free checking account that's actually free. Because sometimes the basics are more than enough, making lives better by making banking easier. Come see us at one of our branches or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank. Banking made easy. On purpose. Member FDIC.
Willy Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. And this month, we have several celebrating their anniversary working with us. From our corporate office, Janice Russell is celebrating 33 years and Dorothy Black, 29. Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad, the duo that make up our morning show on 102.5 The Game, are celebrating 3 years. And Connor Newt, who works for 102.5 behind the scenes, is celebrating 1 year with us as well. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is happening at Genesis Diamonds. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. For this event, you can choose from 5 years financing or get a free pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond earrings valued at $5,000. Imagine a luxury pre-owned ladies Rolex Datejust for just $199 a month, or a Sea Dweller or Submariner for just $299 a month. No waiting list, no games, just the watch you want at the great Genesis value price you deserve. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be offering top dollar for your Rolex, so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state. Get the timepiece of your dreams and take advantage of our special financing. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit while supplies last. See store for details.
We're losing too many of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones to fentanyl poisoning. Nearly 75% of overdose deaths in Nashville involve fentanyl, but you can save a life with training and naloxone. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, are here to teach you how to recognize and respond to an overdose and how you can save a life. Call 615-393-6980 or visit starsnashville.org. This project is funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I guess after the game, Marlon Humphrey said this on his podcast. After the game, this is what he heard and saw.
Bro, did you see the post game? Did that get? I don't think that got out.
I don't think. Why? What happened?
No, it didn't.
Dude, I'm sitting there after the game.
Okay.
I jersey swapped with a dude. So, like, it took me a while. So I'm, like, taking my jersey off, and, like, I saw
Big fan of the guy.
Yeah, right.
Helmet on.
Helmet on.
Helmet on. I'm like, oh, he must got, like, family on our team or something. He's still just looking. So, like, I'm over here trying to take the jersey off my pads. And then I walk up to him, like, I'm thinking, like, oh, he wants to show me love. Like, he respects my game. So, yeah, bro. And, like, he wasn't. Like, I really just went up to him. He wasn't waiting on me either. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, go holler at somebody. And then as my back's turned to him, our guy goes, Rodney. Starts yelling. Rodney's our security's name. And I'm like, anytime you start yelling security, like, Rodney, like, freaking out. I turn around, Odell and Jeffrey are, like, fighting.
No way.
Bro, I'm pretty sure Odell's grabbing his face mask, like they had to get separated and everything. I don't know how this has not hit, like, the media.
Crazy.
Dude, he wanted the fade from getting that PI.
Okay.
What? So that was Marlon Humphrey
wow.
on the Pat McAfee show. And, of course, Marlon Humphrey, he's a corner for the Baltimore Ravens. Jonathan Hutton brought that up to us. Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow, joined us in the last segment. He brought that up and said, I don't know if anybody's really been talking about this. But, of course, we saw Jeffrey Simmons and Odell Beckham Jr. get into it. Odell Beckham Jr. need Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons got the personal foul because of it. Set the Ravens up for a touchdown. And then apparently Jeffrey Simmons waiting around for Odell Beckham Jr. after the game, and they start fighting after the game. And then Jeffrey Simmons goes into the locker room and has the audacity to say that we need to figure out who wants to play for the Tennessee Titans. What is going on here?
It doesn't look. It's frustration across the board. I can understand, but because we gotta look at the whole sequence. And again, we're going by, and I brought it up to you off air. And I wasn't going to bring it up on air because I didn't know whether it was true or not. But Hut brought it up. So I felt, okay, let me address it now. But as we were talking to Hut and you were asking him questions, I glance up and, we got ESPN and Fox on sports. But under the ESPN ticker, it says, supposedly Simmons and Odell Beckham gets into a fight after the game. And I'm thinking like, did they mean during the game? Because he got a personal foul.
Yeah, and I wouldn't really call that a fight. I think I'd call that a little bit of a tussle.
Exactly. But then when Hut brought it up, so it's starting to trickle out there. Then you listen to Marlon Humphreys. But I go back to what I said yesterday and what I said today. That 15-yard penalty was because it's like that, the butterfly effect or chain reaction. It's like you do this, which causes this, which causes that. Well, Jeffrey Simmons, again, Jeffrey is a beast. The dude's a really good player.
He is a dog.
If the Titans didn't have him on his team on the defensive side of the ball, then it would be a little bit worse than what they're going through now from a defensive standpoint.
If he played for Colorado, he would have a D on his jersey.
But I respect his game. And I don't know him as a person, but the story, I respect him as a person because of the stories that I've heard. We've all heard stories of what he went through and now everything. So you respect that.
And TD has a great write-up on Jeffrey Simmons.
Absolutely. So you respect that as a person. And I just respect his play because he plays hard. But one thing I don't respect, and people, don't get this twisted because we know how, you can have selective hearing around these parts. I don't respect what he did, okay, in a game that's already physical. If you don't know what I'm talking about, people, go back and just watch the game. You can go back and just pull up the game on YouTube or something. Go back and watch the game and watch the sequence where he got the 15-yard penalty. Watch what happened during that play. Zay catches the ball. Zay Flowers catches the ball. It was maybe a 7-yard gain, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Two guys have him wrapped up. He's not going anywhere. Jeffrey Simmons looks at him and goes directly at his legs. That I don't respect. I don't. It's just not that I don't respect. I respect him as a person. I don't respect what he did to that young man because this game is already physical. We don't need to go out of our way to try to hurt an individual. It was always said, listen, okay, if you hit me dirty, I'm going to get you back within the confines of the game. Like if I see you, I'm zeroing in on you. And if I catch you coming across the middle, bow. That's my lick back at you because I'm going to come at you hard. Or if I'm a receiver and you do something as a DB, I'm going to get you when I'm blocking. So I'm going to I'm going to do the Hines Ward to you. I'm going to sneak around, but within the confines of the league, and I'm going to get you on a crapback. You can't do crapbacks no more. But back then you could. But it would have been all legal.
No fun league.
Exactly. But that's me getting back at you for what you did to one of my guys. You can't do that in this sport to try to deliberately hurt someone. You went at his knees. That could have ended that young man's career. If somebody had did that to Jeffrey Simmons, I would say the same thing about them. I don't respect that act that you committed. That's why Odell probably said something to him. That's why, whether he needed him or not, I don't know. And if he did, then okay. But that he needs you because of what you did to his guy. And then you turn around and get a 15-yard penalty.
And hurt the team.
That's frustration. All of that was frustration. And then supposedly, I hope it's not true, but supposedly you go after him after the game.
And we do have to consider the source there. That's coming from Marlon Humphrey, who plays with Odell Beckham Jr.
Exactly.
So if I don't think that he's completely making that up out of
embellished it a little
his
bit.
guy
Yeah.
in a better light.
Uh-huh.
So I do take that with a grain of salt. But is it surprising to you if that was the truth? If that was the case?
It wouldn't be surprising to me.
And that's a problem to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jeffrey Simmons, you're a leader on that team. You're a leader on a defensive front that needs to be a lot better than it has been.
Exactly.
And if you're waiting around to start fights after the game, after you lose, that's a problem to me. That shows me that you are more caught up in whatever own personal vendetta than you are about losing a football game.
Yeah. And listen, I understand, in the heat of the moment during the game. I understand during the game, even though that's something you shouldn't do. In the 15-yard penalty. I'm not talking about what he did to Zay. I'm talking about the 15-yard penalty. I get sometimes you can get heated and then you do something. And then after the game, it's like, man, I didn't mean to do that. Like, God. And usually after the game, guys, dap it up. And it's like,
That's on
and
me.
they forget about it. It's like, that's on me, my bad. And you go about your business. But to then do this supposedly other stuff, we got to understand what is really going on within that locker room. And it may be nothing, but then again, it may be something, because these are not things that we saw even last year when they were, when they went on their losing streak. We didn't see it the year before. We never heard about these things with a Titans locker room until this season. So we need to wonder what's really going on in that locker room. What's really going on with those players right now? I'm not going to speculate, but I would like to know, like, what's really going on in that locker room. What Jeffrey Simmons said after the game, is that true? Like, is we're trying to find out who really want to play as a Titan or who really wants to be here or not? Because I would assume all of them wants to be there. They want to be there. You want a job. You want to play in this league. Yeah. So why did you say that? Because you just don't say that without seeing things prior to that.
And Willy said, he could have said that, and that was just something to say, just to move on and, just say your piece to reporters and move on. I don't know. There are a lot of things that you can say just to, just get rid of reporters and say your piece that don't make headlines, that don't ambiguously call out individuals in the locker room, that don't put people on notice of what could be going on within the walls of the Tennessee Titans locker room. Like, there's got to be something to that.
Well, I think what we do sometimes as people that cover teams or cover individuals or cover sports in general, sometimes we say, well, that guy is very calculated at what he says. Like, we give them all the praise. Like, they know exactly what they're saying. They're calculated. They said it for a reason. But then on the other hand, it's like, oh, they really didn't mean that. That's not what they.
It's not both ways.
Yeah, you can't read it like that. No, we gotta give these guys. When you approach a guy after a game, he's telling you truly how he feels. These are not throwaway lines, because they know throwaway lines can get them in trouble. Not necessarily in trouble, what I'm saying, like with the coaches or anything, but it could get them in trouble with the media because they can make something bigger than what it is.
Headline makers.
Exactly. These were not throwaway lines. I think these guys are very calculated at what they say. They think about it, because you're taught. I was taught a long time ago in this game. Listen, when you are being asked the question, you don't have to rush to answer that. Why? Because you are in control of this. They want something from you. You don't want anything from them. So you take as much time as you need, because they ain't going nowhere. You take as much time as you need to answer that question. Because they're interviewing you. You're not interviewing them.
We're frustrated that we've lost 2 games in a row.
Exactly.
We felt like we had an opportunity to win that game, but we're going to go home. We're going to continue to work hard to win football games, and we're going to do it for each other.
Because on one hand, you're saying these guys are smart, but then on the other hand, you're saying they're dumb. No, these guys are far from dumb. They understand what they're saying. They understand who they're talking to and how they say it. What Jeffrey Simmons said after the game, he meant. Just like I told y'all what A.J. Brown said, he meant. And people were looking at me, oh, no, yes, that man, he meant it. That's how he felt at that time. It may not have been how he felt after. Like, after reading it and saying, oh, I gotta take this down.
Yeah.
But at the time, He thought about it carefully. These guys are intelligent. And he said exactly what was on his heart at that time. And people looked at me, no, that's not. Man, I've been in this game long enough that I understand that when I wanted to get something across to a reporter, I said it in a way that everybody would know. It wasn't I wasn't mixing words at all. Never had to go back and retract a thing because I thought about what I said and then I said it.
And if Jeffrey Simmons is telling us there's people in this locker room that don't want to be here, that also falls on Mike Vrabel. That's his locker room. It's his culture. But there's something else that was brought to my attention at Mike Vrabel's press conference that made me raise an eyebrow, that made me think, is this who Jeffrey Simmons is talking about? And we'll get into that coming up next. Of course, your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at thegamenashville.com or the 1025 The Game app as we approach week 8 of college football and week 7 of the NFL. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL,
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline Fenton here for my friends over at Black Time Moving. And when you choose Black Time Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. I moved with Black Time Moving over the summer, and it was the easiest, most stress-free moving experience I have ever had. We've all moved. We all know it's not fun. It's overwhelming. It's stressful. But when you choose Black Tie Moving, they're going to take all of the heavy lifting, literally and figuratively, out of the process. They are completely open, honest, and transparent from the very first phone call with your local professional moving consultant. You'll get a free estimate that includes everything. There's no hidden fees. You're not going to get your receipt at the end of it and think, oh, like, what is an elevator fee? What's a stair fee? No, none of that. Black Tie Moving is completely upfront and honest with you from the beginning. Plus, the moving process is so easy. They took great care of my furniture, and I know they'll do the same with you when you move with Black Tie Moving. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. That is 615-437-8401. Be sure to mention the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off of your next move. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life with Black Tie Moving.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue is your home for hockey action all season long. They are Predators approved and all the games are on, and they'll even give you the sound. Get awesome game day drink specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. When you think hockey, think Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, or Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue. Go Preds!
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Ford in Shelbyville. It's finally football season in Tennessee, which means sweaters, tailgates, and pumpkin spice lattes. Wait, it's still almost 90 degrees outside. Where's the fall weather? I guess we'll just have to keep waiting and sweating it out, even in football games for now. But don't wait on cooler temps to commit to making sure your car's running smoothly. Even if you're still running the AC, it might be time to check the oil, all the fluid levels, and just a basic once over to make sure that when the weather finally does cool off, you won't be left out in the cold, literally or figuratively. Let our service center give you peace of mind and offer you great savings while you're at it. Save on basic services like tire rotations, fluid services, and brake checkups with up to $25 in savings this month at Newton Ford, just a short drive away from Murfreesboro. Visit newtonford.com to schedule a fall service checkup today. That's newtonfordsouth.com.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you frustrated with Tier Tart not being out there for multiple weeks now and taking to social media, things like that?
I didn't see the social media. I think that's, you get, back and forth. Conversations probably never do anybody any good on social media. Maybe I'll read the mean tweets tomorrow. That'd be my introduction. I'll read all the funny stuff that they say about us or me specifically. I did that one year. I think we ended up winning 12 games. So this coach sucks. This guy stinks. And, ended up having a different tune. Guys all laughed about it. What I'm frustrated by is I'm frustrated when we lose. I am. We put a lot into this, and again, we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can, that when we're not out there, that we're doing everything we can to get back out there. The other message that I try to tell them, because, again, this is not talking about my career. I played in Nashville. I got hurt, right? I went through injury. But just maybe the mentality or the appearance that you're doing everything that you can to get back out there, that you're as engaged as you possibly can in the meetings, that you're doing as much conditioning or you're doing as much treatment as you possibly can. Because I think whether that makes you get back any quicker, but at least leaves no doubt that you're doing everything that you possibly can. That's just a reminder that I try to tell all of them, knowing that we're going to deal with injuries throughout the course of the year.
You know what? We just need to read a few mean tweets. That's what this team needs.
Well, read them on, people. Read them on, Vrabel.
Bulletin board material. That's what's going to help us. But no, that was Mike Vrabel. And Sam Phelan of A to Z Sports asked the question. And several of us, when we were at the press conference, went up to Sam afterward, like, what are you talking about, Tier Tart's tweets? Mm-hmm. I think it was like Terry McCormick, Teresa Walker, myself. We were all like, wait, what are you talking about? Because I always feel like if there's a Titans player that does something or says something notable on social media, it usually starts to circulate.
Yeah.
And Sam pointed out a tweet that Tier Tart sent out right after the game ended, right after the Titans lost in London. And Tier Tart tweeted, and he deleted it. It's gone now. Which this freaking team and the players that tweet stuff and then delete it.
Yes.
Tier Tart tweeted, "Who's really mad here?" with 2 laughing, crying emojis. And I'm thinking, well, what does that mean? What does he mean by that?
Yeah.
And then it all kind of started to make sense, piecing together a few things. Going back a couple weeks ago, I believe this was after the Bengals game, the week ahead of the Colts game. Terrell Williams, the Titans defensive line coach, was asked about Tier Tart and his health, when he could be available. This is what Terrell Williams said about Tier Tart.
You got to talk to, I don't really want to talk about Tier right now, right? Just because he's injured, and I just don't know what the deal is. So you got to talk to Braves and Tier about Tier. When he's out there, he's doing a good job. So that's where we are.
So I never really thought too much into that when he said that. That was, again, before the Colts game.
Exactly.
And then Sam Phelan pointed out this Tier Tart tweet to us, and I'm thinking, well, what's going on there? Because Terrell Williams sounded very obviously frustrated.
Yes.
And maybe it's frustration due to the injury, but this tweet of who's really mad here. Is something going on?
Did something happen behind the scenes within the locker room, between Tier Tart and maybe Vrabes or Tier Tart and Coach Williams? Something happened because, again, guys don't just put out statements like that just all willy-nilly.
And that's right after your team lost a game.
Like, I ain't got nothing better to do, so I'm just going to throw this out there.
Yeah.
Just to start something.
I'm bored.
I'm bored. I mean, I'm tired of sitting here and, doing nothing. I'm injured. So I'm just going to get on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to put this out after my team just had a poor showing in London. So I'm going to throw that out to add insult to injury. No, you just don't do that. I believe Tier Tart to be much smarter than that. So when he does put something out there in the media like that, or social media, let's say that, there's something behind that. Again, these players are very strategic. They can't quite come out and say what they really want to say, but they give these little, these innuendos or these little crumbs. They'll leave these little crumbs here and there, and then go back quickly and pick the crumbs up. Well, hell, I already saw the crumbs.
A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I already saw the crumbs. I already saw the tweet you put out there.
I saw what you said.
Yeah, so to me, there is something going on. There is something going on. Again, like I said, when A.J. put that out, when he was saying what he said, and he had every right to do it, something was going on behind the scenes that he was trying to convey to everybody, but he can only say it in this cloak and dagger way, and then I pull it back. But I throw it out there. That's what people in today's society do. It's like, I'm gonna throw something out there just so everybody can see it, but then I'm gonna pull it back like I really didn't mean it. No, you put it out there for a reason. You put it out there so people can start looking in that direction. So what are you asking us to look at, Tier? I want Tier back on the field because I think they struggle without him. As good as Jeffrey Simmons is, I think Tier Tart, they both work well together. And when Tier's on the field, it makes Jeffrey's job a little bit easier. So what's really going on, Tier? Like, who you mad at? Or are you mad and somebody else is mad? Who is it? Because you ain't just going to throw that out there.
Right.
I know you got a little security now because they signed you to a deal, so you now can sort of voice your opinion a little bit. So who you mad at, bro? What you mad at, son? Tell me. Who you mad at, son? Tell us.
The way it sounds to me, that Terrell Williams clip where he sounds very obviously pissed off about something.
And I know he's probably just, Terrell is. He's probably angry that Tier's not out there because they need him. And his defense line uncharacteristically is giving up the runs that they haven't previously given up in past seasons.
And Tier Tart's important to this football team. He's important to the defensive front that hasn't been playing to the level that it really should play to. And part of the reason is because Tier Tart's not out there. Now everybody else needs to step up a little bit. But that Terrell Williams clip, combined with Tier Tart's tweet after the game, combined with Jeffrey Simmons' comment after the game of, we want people that want to be here. If Tier Tart's saying, hey, who's mad now? It makes me think, and this is just my interpretation of the situation, of the he said, she said, social media antics, that the Titans were frustrated with Tier Tart for some reason or another. And they said, all right, Tier, whether you're hurt, whether you're not, you're not playing. And Tier Tart's looking at this team that's struggling and saying, well, you mad now? Who you mad at now? And all of this to say, this, like you said, there's something going on in the locker room. Someone is mad at someone, is frustrated with someone who's not doing their job, who's hurting the football team. And it all falls back on Mike Vrabel. This is the locker room. This is your culture. And it looks like there's a problem in the locker room. It looks like there's a hole in the culture. And what are you going to do about it? Because you're not winning very many games right now. And it's hard to maintain culture when you're losing. So what are you going to do to fix it?
Well, we'll see. They got the bye week this week. It can get guys healthy. But will this bye week change change what seems to be a crack in the armor. Because, again, these are not things that we were seeing in prior years. Even last year, guys were frustrated, but I think they were more so frustrated because of the injuries. I think this year, see what happens, so we can get out of here real quickly. What happens is your character is revealed when you start losing. Last year they had an excuse because they were injured. This year they're not injured. They're not. Healthy team, and they're still losing. Now, their quarterback's injured now.
Right.
But
you're not a Traylon Burks difference.
Exactly. He wasn't, unfortunately, Traylon wasn't giving them much when he was healthy, and I hate that for Traylon.
I do too.
So what's really going on?
That's what I want to know. And it's incredibly concerning considering what this team's going to have to do to right the wrongs of the first 6 weeks. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. So the Titans have some difficult decisions to make here in the next couple of weeks. Trade deadline coming up in 3 weeks, right around Halloween. You've got to bye this week, Falcons next week, and it feels like a game that you really need to win. But there's been some grumblings around the trade market. Would we do it? Would we make those moves based off of some of these proposed trades? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Some people put off things that need doing. Not you. Harbor Freight knows you're a today's the day kind of person. An I'm on it kind of person. A bring it kind of person. So, if you're rolling up your sleeves today and you don't want to overpay for tools, you're a Harbor Freight kind of person. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Come try Calabria Brick Oven Pizzeria. Their pizza is cooked to perfection, but that's not all they're known for. Try one of their delicious appetizers, salads, fresh calzones, and they have a full bar and dessert. Calabria has been a Mount Juliet staple for 7 years now and has a new location in the heart of Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Come join the family at Calabria. After all, life's too short to eat bad pizza.
Get ultimate durability and extreme weather performance with Rain-X Advantage wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Purchase a pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10, plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades for free. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier. Are the Tennessee Titans buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? Currently, the Titans sit at the bottom of the AFC South standings with a 14% chance of making the first round of the playoffs. Yesterday on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase, ESPN's Tim Hasselbeck joined the show and shared his thoughts on what he needs to see from the Titans if they need to be either buyers or sellers at the trade deadline.
All right, the buy happened. Let's say you don't see the signs of promise that you need, kind of between now and the trade deadline. Really, I think I would need to see a lot of improvement, probably just across the board in terms of just offensive production and efficiency. Look, if you come out of the bye week, play a game, and you're 2-5, yeah, I think you have to make some hard decisions.
The Titans are currently on a bye week and take on the Atlanta Falcons at home the following week. Tune in tonight for Preds Insiders with our very own Robbie Stanley and Nick Keiser at 6 p.m. You can listen to it right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Willy is en route to New York, so he will join us tomorrow. Predators taking on the New York Rangers and Peter Laviolette tomorrow night. I want to get into, just kind of where the Titans go from here in terms of their locker room issues, because we mentioned Jeffrey Simmons' comments after the game. We mentioned Tier Tart's very cryptic and weird tweet that he tweeted right after the Titans lost in London of who's mad now, crying, laughing emoji, just very strange. And like you said, D-Mase, where there's smoke, there's fire. So I want to get into that. But also, a little bit of news, Anthony Richardson will undergo surgery, likely leaving him out for the rest of the season. Jim Irsay tweeted, after consultation with our medical staff, Anthony, and those close to him, it's been determined that he will undergo surgery to repair his injured shoulder, which will end his season. Okay, so it will end. He needs time. He's a project. He's looked pretty solid. Yeah. So I hate that for him, that he's going to be left out for the rest of the season. But what do you think this means for the Titans?
I don't think it means nothing because they couldn't beat Gardner Minshew. I mean,
kind of how I feel too.
When you look at it, and Anthony Richardson, they were doing a good job with him. With just listen, we're not going to ask you to win games for us. We're going to, manage this thing, and we're going to put you in, advantageous situations, to watch your growth. You're still going to make some mistakes here and there, but we're not going to put too much on your plate. And it seems like watching him, other than the 2 times he was injured prior to this one, you saw it. Now, was he great? No, but you saw progress. You saw okay, this kid, he got something. What they said about him, pre-draft is right. He hadn't had many snaps underneath center, meaning as a starter at Florida. He only had so many. But this guy has the talent. He just needs to play more. And they were bringing him along well. Mm-hmm. Then when he gets hurt, I think what happens now, I'm not going to sit here and say they are a better team, but I think the offense can do more. Now, whether they take advantage of that, that's yet to be seen. But they did against the Titans. This team can put more on their quarterback now, because Gardner Minshew has been in a league. Gardner Minshew has shown he can win games. He can throw the football. It did kind of look like they opened this playbook up a little bit more. Absolutely. So it gives them a better opportunity to do a lot more of what they want to do on offense. It may diminish their explosiveness from the quarterback position because he gave you that dual threat, Richardson, but it allows them to do more in the passing game. And then if Zach Moss and Taylor is able to run the football.
Isn't it crazy that we're at a point where Zach Moss is the first name that comes to your mind instead of Jonathan Taylor?
Exactly. So if those two guys can really get this run game going, I think with Gardner Minshew, it poses a bigger threat passing the ball. And now you don't have to worry about your your quarterback running, because you got 2 running backs that can go. So this may mean bad things for the Tennessee Titans, as well as the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars, But it all depends on, one, Indianapolis's defense. And then I think from the Titans' perspective, it depends on whether, Ryan Tannehill can be back fully healthy, not just 70%. No, with that offensive line, he needs to be 100% healthy. If I'm that organization, if I'm Ryan Tannehill, as much as he is a competitor and wants to be out there, I can't operate with this offensive line. I can't operate at 70%. I can't operate at 80%. I barely operate at 100% because they're not blocking well. I am not putting myself back in a situation like that where I can't move. We saw what happened to him last year.
Mm-hmm.
He had that same injury, came back because he wanted to gut it out. His team still was on a roll. He ended up having to have surgery. If I'm him, I don't want to be in that situation again. And this line is bad in regards, hell, your coach said it. We can't get into a drop back situation.
Yep, disagrees.
Yeah, but he disagrees with you,
that we can't block.
Yeah,
we can't get into drop back situations.
So what this mean for the Titans? First they got to find out, if indeed we want to put Ryan Tannehill back in the game. Can we do that knowing the offensive line deficiencies? Mm-hmm. Or is it better to have a healthy Malik or a healthy Levis that can at least move around in the pocket and give us an opportunity? That's the decision they're going to have to make.
I don't know if this really changes much for me in terms of my perception of the division or my perception of the Titans' competitiveness in it, just because this team's got enough of its own problems. Mm-hmm. And I think Gardner Minshew showed me when the Titans played the Colts that, hey, he can operate this offense completely fine. I think he's one of the better backups in the NFL. So I hate this for Anthony Richardson. I think maybe in the strangest way, this could be maybe a silver lining of a dark gray cloud of now you've got time to really step back and really learn the offense. You've got some experience playing in a game and what is asked of you, but now you can take a step back, a forced step back, which I hate that for him, but this doesn't really change much for me. I'm more focused on the issues of this team rather than the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. But I want to get into what we were breaking down of Jeffrey Simmons' comments after the game of we want to make sure that we've got to find out who wants to be here, who wants to play for the Tennessee Titans. Tier Tart tweeted after the game, "Who's mad now?" with a laughing, crying emoji. It seems to me that there's something going on in this locker room. And Mike Vrabel wasn't willing to admit that. This was Mike Vrabel.
What do you think of Jeffrey's comments about just some guys need to decide if they want to play and want to be here?
I mean, Jeff's earned the right to say a lot as he wants, but, I think that could go for a lot of guys. We've hit the quarterback 3 times in the last 2 games, so we'd have to, prepare there too. It's tough to win, and it's tough to cause turnovers when you hit the quarterback twice in 2 games.
So, it's kind of turning a question about Jeffrey Simmons into not getting after the quarterback and not really wanting to acknowledge what the actual question was, which
no,
crazy.
No.
Okay,
he
all
did.
right.
No, Just think about it for a second.
Yeah,
okay?
Whatever you heard.
That question was asked of him. And what did he say? He said Jeffrey Simmons he's earned the right to say what he wants to say. But then he went directly at him at the defensive line.
Yeah.
So he's like, listen, dude, you talking, but you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. Yeah. We only hit the quarterback 3 times in 2 games. So before you start criticizing everybody else, do your job. Yes, that is what Vrabel, again, these guys, all of them, coaches, players, they're very calculated in what they say. He didn't want to deliberately go at, Jeffrey Simmons. Why? Because he doesn't want to discord, with this star player. So what does he do? Well, Jeffrey he's earned the right to say what he's going to say. In the defensive line, we've only hit the quarterback 3 times in the last 2 or 3 games. You directly went back at Jeffrey Simmons, but you didn't. You didn't call him out, but you called him out.
Because Winnie could have said, well, Jeff should maybe do his job a little bit better instead of whining in the locker room, which is probably what he wanted to say.
Absolutely.
He pointed out, hey, 2 quarterback hits in the last 3 games.
So
and who does that fall on?
Exactly.
You, Jeffrey Simmons, do your job.
Absolutely. He's not, as much as he understands that, listen, I'm not going to win going back and forth with my players. I don't want to cause any more confusion or any more speculations than what's already out there. Jeffrey Simmons, he said what he said. He has a right to say it. Yeah, but, listen, we ain't hit the quarterback number 2 times in the last 2 or 3 games, 3 times in the last 2 games. We need to get better at that. Oh, okay, coach. But you didn't answer my question. No, I did answer your question. If you just think about what I said. I did answer a
Do
question.
your
But
job.
I'm not going to go at Jeffrey because he's my star player, and I don't want him to be disgruntled. But if Jeffrey's listening, he knows what Coach's saying.
That was a message
Do
to
my
him.
damn job and
That was a
stop
message to
talking.
him.
Yeah, it was a message to Jeffrey.
And
Or it could have been a message to Tier Tart, too.
Both of them.
Yes.
And look, I don't disagree.
No, I don't disagree either.
Jeffrey Simmons needs to do a little bit more of his job of getting after the quarterback, of getting pressure on the opposing offensive line, because this defensive front hasn't been doing a whole lot of that.
No, they haven't. And, you wonder why. And you look at it again. Tier Tart not being in the game is a big loss.
Yeah.
To me, I think. I don't think people understand how much of an impact he brings for that defensive line.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. He may not get the fanfare. He doesn't get paid like it. But this guy is a flat-out player. And we see now what this defensive line is without having him out there and with having a hobbled Harold Landry. Harold Landry isn't nowhere near. It's like he's had a few plays here and there, but we're accustomed to Harold Landry having more plays, being an impact, and he's not. And I contributed to him having a knee surgery last year, and this is his first time playing. And you got to understand, when you have knee surgeries like that, at that position, you may look good at the start of camp. I don't care about that. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Let's wait until the season starts. And that's what I was saying. Let's wait until the season starts, because now 300-pounders lean on you. Now you got to get around, dip, get low, dip. You got to do that constantly over and over and over. Then you got backs running at you. So if your knee can't hold up, I'm going to find out if your knee can hold up or if you're really ready. And right now, Harold's not ready to be the guy that he was last year.
And we saw a little bit of life from him.
You'll see it here and there.
More this past week than I think we've seen throughout the season,
Exactly.
but he's still not Harold Landry.
I watched that game, and I'm sitting in the area with the people that I was there with.
Uh-huh.
And I watched Harold Landry run on I think he was coming on the field before the play, or he was just doing, I forgot what he was doing. But I can see that limp. It was still that you can see that, he's not fully healthy. And then, when I don't know who caught a pass in the flat. Oh, it was Zay Flowers' first touchdown. And he's out there, Harold Landry, and he's running like, I got to cut off the edge so I can get the tackle. And when Zay cut back, now listen, it's a shifty wide receiver. And guys like that, and once I get you running like that, you 250 pounds and I'm 180.
Yeah,
I got
back.
you. Yeah, I got you. But you can see that Harold Landry is still not himself, because even when he tried to cut, it was just like, I really can't do it. It was like he took like 3 or 4 steps and then came back.
Yeah.
That's a guy that still, he's going to go out there and he's going to play hard, but he's still dealing with the knee injury.
Just still not 100%.
He's not
quite
100%.
yet. Which is something that we talked about of, look, buyer beware.
Exactly.
Caution. He might be medically green lit, but just not quite 100% yet.
Exactly.
Let's get into some of your phones. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tristan is on the line with a thought on the Titans quarterbacks. What's up, Tristan?
Yes, I was wondering, I think we should start Will Levis. It's time. Ryan Tannehill is 36, and, how about the defensive line, Caleb Murphy, the guy from, what do you call that? Yes, the tiny school up in Michigan where he had 23 sacks. That's the guy we should play.
Murphy.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Yes, Murphy, Caleb Murphy. And also, we need to draft a quarterback in the draft if these two quarterbacks don't pan out, because, yes, we need to draft J.J. McCarthy and get Marvin Harrison Jr. Those are the two players I would look at.
Both of them?
Hey, if you can get both of them, great.
You might win GM of the year if you can get both of them.
Trade up, okay, we get our, if we don't win any more games, we get Marvin Harrison Jr., then trade up and get J.J. McCarthy or one of the good quarterbacks out of this draft class, because there's incredible quarterbacks that are coming out.
With what picks are you trading up to get both a quarterback and Marvin Harrison?
okay, you keep like if we lose the entire game and we have other teams win, keep on winning, like get number 2 pick overall, and then we trade like our second round and third round for first rounder and get
You don't
JJ
have a third
McCarthy.
round pick.
We're operating under
You got 5
very
picks,
strict
5 picks, 2 of them are
guidelines
in the
here.
7th.
Yes.
Can we trade a player? Like I would trade Ryan Tannehill for a third round pick.
You're not getting a third
you're
round
not
pick
getting
for
a
an
third
old
round.
injured quarterback.
We know what you're trying to get
Because
at. And, hey, listen, it would be great.
I would
theory.
love that.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that. And I think that anybody would sign up for getting your franchise quarterback of the future and an elite wide receiver in this year's draft. And thank you for your call, Tristan. You are not the only person that feels that way. It's first of all, one, if you're drafting a quarterback for the 3rd year in a row, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just traded
Something
up in
not
the
right.
2nd round to draft Will Levis. If you didn't view him as the quarterback of the future, then why did you draft him?
Man, because you didn't believe that Malik Willis was. But I think I think that's why fans are like, okay, enough is enough. We don't see light at the end of the tunnel. And teams think differently. I get it. But the fans are like, we don't see light at the end of the tunnel. Let's find out if Will Levis can play. Let's find out right now if Will Levis can play. Because if he can't play, and again, whether he can, wins and losses to me in regards to a young quarterback, it doesn't mean a whole lot. I want to see progression in that young quarterback. Now, if he progresses, fast, then wins will come. But I'm not going to say, well, if they only win 2 games with Will Levis underneath center, then we blew it. We need to go get another quarterback. No, I'm not, because he's a young guy and he's just learning. I want to see if he's maturing in the game. Is he making the same mistakes over and over again? That's what we saw with Malik Willis last year, because he was constantly making the same mistakes. That's why people were like, okay, enough is enough. And that's why the Titans were like, we need to go find another quarterback. Well, why not throw Will Levis in there? Because a 70% of Ryan Tannehill, and I know what everybody's saying, well, he gives you the best chance. Well, if you're complaining about the offensive line, that they're not good, and you put a quarterback out there that's 70%, he's dealing with an ankle, you must don't care about that quarterback, because he's going to end up getting injured again.
But I could make that same argument about Will Levis, that if you're throwing a rookie quarterback out there who couldn't really get a whole lot of preseason work because he got injured, you're throwing him behind an offensive line that got your starting quarterback injured. Well, he's your future.
Because my starting quarterback still looked like he couldn't move because of the prior injuries. He still didn't look the same as far as moving in the pocket. At least I would have a younger, stronger, individual underneath center that now I can build those runs in. I can get him outside the pocket. I can move him. I can do some things that may help the offensive line. Because if I put a 70% a Ryan Tannehill out there, you can't move him. You can't do anything. And now he's basically a sitting duck.
But if you're going to say, and, to the caller's point, if you're going to say, well, we need to see what we have in Will Levis, because if he's not good, then we need to draft another quarterback in this next year's draft. Well, your evaluation of Will Levis will be in front of an offensive line that might be worse than your offensive line last year that I thought was the worst offensive line in the league. So you're talking worse than the worst offensive line in the league last year. You're going to throw him out there for the first time ever as a rookie behind a horrendous offensive line. And you might trade away your number 1 wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins and your all-pro running back in Derrick Henry in the process. That's not a very fair evaluation of a young quarterback.
If, again, there's a way to evaluate the quarterback, because you're not evaluate wins and losses. This is not about wins and losses here. This is about, is he getting better? And again, I was talking to my son this morning, and he was, because his major is biology, and Myron Rowe, who I will thank forever, he's my son's mentor, because my son wants to go into medicine as well. Well, he will go into medicine. And I asked him what he got on this test, and he said, I got a B. And I was like, you could have got an A, but I said, I'm proud of you, son. And he was like, he's like 2% better each time, 2%. And I was like, yep, you're right.
Yep.
2% better each time because
Hit some
that's
singles.
Byron's, tagline. 2%, 2%. Whether it's 2% better, just get 2% better. That's all I want to see from Will Levis. You're getting 1% better each time that I put you out there. You're going to make mistakes, and we may not win a whole bunch of games because of the offensive line. But if I'm seeing as a head coach, an evaluator, quarterback's coach, if I see this kid picking it up and getting better, I know what I have. Now I need to get things straight around him that next season. I am only going to put him in an advantageous situation, meaning my play calling. Not necessarily, I can't do anything about the offensive line. Can't do anything about the receivers. I need to do it through play calling. I need to protect him. But if he's getting better each and every time he's out there, that's all I care about. It may not equal to wins, but wins is not what I'm looking. I'm looking for him to be a better quarterback each and every time.
And I don't think you're going to win very many games.
Yeah,
if
you're
not
not.
out there.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a fair evaluation of a young quarterback, how can you do that when he's constantly under pressure on the move or on the ground? It's almost like it's almost like you're setting him up to fail. And Mike Vrabel already told you we can't pass protect.
Yeah, but we got a good offensive line.
But yeah,
they're good.
Yeah,
but we can't pass protect.
You don't know anything about offensive lines, Caroline. Fans, what do you know? 615-737-1025. Let's get into your phones on this coming up next. Anything is on the table. Vrabel, Levis, Tannehill, everything is fair game. Tomorrow, it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the Preds game tomorrow night, then you will win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Predators home game. Participate in Robbie and Rex Road tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. List your home with TJ to get your home seen, heard, and sold.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Dominic Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy hump day to people out there. Men, listen up. I need to tell you about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife, Daphne, along with that wonderful and experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, including yours truly, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Men, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number. I know you got it in your phone already, so just push dial. 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Fall is the time for family, friends, and unforgettable moments. Lee Company wants you to savor every second. While you enjoy this time with your family, our professional technicians can handle everything else, from gutter cleaning to pressure washing to painting to new gas log installations. We've been serving homeowners in this area for almost 80 years. Visit leecompany.com to learn more. That's leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, former quarterback for the Houston Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler, and member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As a former player, I've always focused on my health. Did you know about 1 in every 3 people in the U.S. will have shingles in their lifetime? Shingles can cause nerve pain and can last for months or even years. As we get older, our risk of having shingles and its serious complications increases. Getting the shingles vaccine is the only way to prevent shingles. Join me and gear up against shingles.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
O'Reilly.
Get ultimate durability and extreme weather performance with Rain-X Advantage wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Purchase a pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10, plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades for free. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet. Promise your phones, and we are right to your phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Anything is on the line. We've been talking about Jeffrey Simmons, what's going on in the locker room, Mike Vrabel, how much is on his shoulders. I think it starts and ends with Mike Vrabel. To steal Jonathan Hutton's line, the culture is on Mike Vrabel. The personnel is on Mike Vrabel. You're 2-4 because of Mike Vrabel, really, when it comes down to it. But let's get your thoughts. One texter texts in, Ben Texan says, I think we'll still be able to see if Levis has the it factor if he gets to play now. And if he can be ruined so easily, then he isn't our guy anyway. Heck, he might provide a spark that makes the whole team different. We've seen stranger things happen. And that's true. There is a possibility the young guy comes in and you start winning games and it provides a spark, so on and so forth. I don't really think that it will, because I think that the offensive line is just this bad. But you have to look at it and say, what's more important for this football team? Is it Will Levis's development, Will Levis's health, or is it whatever you want to do this season? Because I think if you're going to draft a guy in the second round and trade up to get him, I think that that's the quarterback of the future. That's your franchise quarterback. I think the development of Will Levis is more important than anything else at this point.
But how do you And I get it, because you got to sort of straddle this fence of, should I put him out there, because the only way we're going to see the development is if he's out there game time. And you got to try to, reconcile that with, man, but this offensive line isn't that good.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's not. Well, Vrabel says it's different, but
because I don't. I can't see how bad they are when I watch the game. Silly me.
But you got to kind of well, this offensive line is not that good. So how do you marry both? I think it's gonna have. You're gonna have to get to a point where is putting a not 100% Ryan Tannehill out there more detrimental to him than anything. You can say it's detrimental to the team. Yes, I get that. But if you want to protect the player, is it more detrimental to him? Now, if this offensive line was a solid offensive line, then okay, put Ryan back out there because you believe they're going to protect him.
But if this line was a solid offensive line, he wouldn't even be hurt in the
first place. He probably would, more than likely wouldn't be hurt. But then things happen, and, you can get hurt, just fluke things. But where this offensive line is at now, putting a Ryan Tannehill out there, regardless of what you may think about Ryan, regardless of what you may think, he gives him a better opportunity to win, a 70% Ryan Tannehill that's hobbling around, he's not giving you too much, because we've already seen this picture before. We've seen it. We've seen this movie play out before last year, and it didn't help. So why then am I going – and the offensive line was terrible last year. Why then would I throw him back out there when he's not 100%? Because when he was 100%, he barely was standing upright anyway. Why then put him out there and he's not 100%? It's going to compound things. At least with a young quarterback or Will Levis, again, I can move the pocket, I can do some things, and all I want to see is him get a little bit better. Do we want wins? Absolutely. But we know more than likely we're not going to get those wins. But we can see the development in him, and we know that we gotta sort of evaluate this a little bit different. We got to evaluate it knowing all of the other things that are going on around him. But again, if he shows that he's getting better, then that's all we want to see.
I just fear that development is impossible if you are constantly under pressure. Ben Texan says Joe Burrow had a horrible offensive line when he got hurt his rookie year. Key word. When he got hurt his rookie year. When he got hurt when he tore his ACL because he had a crap offensive line in front of him. So development will happen regardless if he's the right guy. This is not the first time that I've heard a comparison between Joe Burrow and Will Levis and the awful offensive line in front of them. Joe Burrow was sidelined for the remainder of his rookie year because he tore his ACL because his offensive line absolutely stunk. Now, I don't think that Will Levis is Joe Burrow. I don't know if that's necessarily a hot take or not.
Hot take.
Hot take. Will Levis is not Joe Burrow. I mean, like,
duh.
Duh. And I think that we need to acknowledge that some quarterbacks just simply aren't supermen. That some quarterbacks aren't Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow could do a lot of things in spite of a crap offensive line. You don't have a Jamar Chase walking through that door.
T. Higgins.
You don't have T. Higgins walking through that door. And, Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, those are the kinds of quarterbacks that can do a lot of really special things in spite of the parts around them. I would love if Will Levis is that guy, if he turned into that guy, into your own Josh Allen.
But he's
not that right now.
But that's where fans are saying, well, at least let us find out. I think and you make great points, Caroline, but I'm saying the fans are thinking, just when you say that, well, we need to find out if that's the case. Let's put him out there and see. This is
Let's throw him out there to the Wolves and see if he can survive.
Hey, sometimes you got to be thrown out to the Wolves in order to survive. I mean, you got to adapt. The game is about adapting or dying. You better be able to adapt to what's going on around you.
Hypothetical for you. If everybody wants to talk about Joe Burrow, let's talk about Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you would love to talk about Joe Burrow. Come on now.
All right, Will Levis. Will Levis is your starting quarterback moving forward. Woohoo!
Yes.
Titans fans, go crazy. Will Levis is the quarterback. He tears his ACL. Who's your quarterback for the rest of the season?
Malik Willis.
Who's your quarterback week 1 next year? Malik Willis?
Probably so.
Oh,
no. They would
You're going to draft Caleb Williams with the first overall pick?
They would figure he should be healthy enough to come back and play because, hey, Joe Burrow did it. He came back healthy, ready to go the next season, even though he still was getting his head beat in because that offensive line still was giving up sacks. But again, he has Chase, Higgins, Boyd. He has a running back. So his ability and then their ability to get open very quickly can mask, what the offensive line isn't. Do we have that in Tennessee right now? I like this receiving core. Are they great? No, but they have a guy in D-Hop that catches just about everything you throw to him.
Everyone wants to trade D-Hop.
But he doesn't have the game-breaking speed to get downfield. And he hasn't changed your offense from a passing sense. He hasn't changed it much. Yes, you're a little bit better than what you were last year, but you're not where you want it to be. And I think a lot of it is because they thought Traylon Burks would take that next step, which meant Traylon, D-Hop, now we got a formidable receiving core. Add Chris Moore in there, Nick Westbrook-Keenan. Now we got 4 guys with experience that can go out there and play. But it hasn't worked out that way for them. So, this offense, whether, it's the guys they have now are not. I think the quarterback, you got to put him out. I'm not gonna say you got to put him out there, but it may be because they're going to get to a point, Caroline, in this season where, if they don't win after the bye, and then say that next following game they drop, which I do believe after the bye they'll come out, and for some reason I think they're going to win the game against Atlanta because it's a bye, they got time to get health and whatever. But if they don't, and then they lose the next game, when is it time now to say, let's pull the cord, let's play this young guy? Because it's going to come a point in the season, if you're not winning, that you say, hey, listen, we got to see what we got in this young guy.
Sure. And if you're 2-13 and you're like, all right, let's just pivot. Let's look to the future.
I don't think they're going to wait that long.
But my point being, Will Levis is your quarterback of the future. I don't think you draft a guy in the second round if he's not. We have been talking so much about how bad this offensive line is. And it is bad. Despite what Mike Vrabel wants to tell you, it's bad. I don't want to kill my future franchise quarterback. But let's get back into some of your thoughts. Rob is on the line with a thought on the Titans. What's up, Rod?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Y'all doing okay?
Good.
Doing well.
Okay, great. Well, my thing is I've been listening to everybody talking about everything. I think that nobody can blame anybody until this line get cleaned up. The Titans don't know who they got. I mean, you cannot say you got a bad quarterback. You can't say you got a bad running back. If if the line is not blocking, how do you know what's really going on? You got to fix the front before you can fix the back. I mean, it's like in a relationship. I don't want to use that. I mean, you got to set the tone in there. I mean, and the line is not setting the tone. The line is basically getting everybody, making everybody, all the pieces of the Titans just look bad. So I don't know what the answer is. Maybe they can put an extra guy in there to help block, so to give the quarterback some time so they can figure out if it's the quarterback or if it's the running back. But you first have got to fix the first part of the equation, and that starts with the line. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Rob, I have a question for you before you go.
Okay.
Would you want Malarkey over Vrabel?
Malarkey over Vrabel. There's no way I would want Malarkey. That freak. Oh, my God. You had to bring up Malarkey?
He did take it to a playoff now. You went to a playoffs.
Don't bring that guy. He was a joke.
You did go to the playoffs with him.
Bring that guy's name up.
And won a game in the playoffs with Malarkey.
Say that again?
I said you won a playoff game with Malarkey. You got to remember that, right?
Yeah, but Malarkey's problem was, he was not about winning. He was all about just trying to entertain the other players. No. That's why we had the problem with Mariota. Yeah. Because he did not handle that team right. I mean, one thing I will say about Vrabel, though, I don't agree with nothing he says or anything like that, as far as when they lose and everything. But he is a player that. He was a player out there, and he does understand some about defense. Now, offensive line, he don't know because it's showing up right now. Defense, okay, he is a defensive guy. But they do need somebody. I think the Titans need somebody that knows more about the offense to get it together, because this is not together. They're in bad shape.
Thank you for your call, Rob. Appreciate it. And I do not disagree with you on the offensive line. Like what? How much can you do with this crap O-line?
I mean, listen, there's nothing you can do right now.
Yeah.
So, and I understand them saying, well, we got to fix the offensive line first. Well, here is the problem. And you don't want to get too far because the season's still going. And I am cautiously optimistic about this team being able to turn it around. I've seen the craziest things in this league, so I'm not saying that it's completely like they can't turn this around. but I am cautiously optimistic. But
you and me both. I mean,
Yeah.
what crazy things happen in the
exactly,
NFL.
it's just a bunch of teams get injured, and you're confident, then you can end up winning with a 9-8 record or something like that. But you want to fix the offensive line, but you don't have any assets to draft capital to fix the offensive line.
That's
you got
why
to do
you
it
go
through
get
free agency.
a backup left tackle and a backup right guard, because that's what fixes the offensive line.
Yeah,
That's the best that we can do.
That's the best way to do it. I guess that's the best way to do it, but it's not working right now.
I'm being sarcastic.
I know
for
you
those
are.
who did not pick up on that.
But that's why we, when we mention trading guys, and I know it's not, we can't put all the blame on the running back, can't put all the blame on, but because you don't have draft capital, because you haven't shown for whatever reason that you're willing to go out and get the best offensive lineman when you have an opportunity to do, then because all of that has happened, the only way you're going to get that draft capital is if you start making trades right before the trade deadline. Now, I don't know how much you're going to get for whoever you deem is tradable, but at least you got to put fillers out there to say, hey, listen, we only got X amount of picks during this year's draft. Even though you don't want to look that far ahead, you have to in a sense. How do we accumulate more draft picks?
Hey, you could draft Marvin Harrison and J.J. McCarthy in the first round.
Draft Marvin Harrison? Damn, I would be with that.
I would take him.
Oh, because if he's anything like his dad and it seems like he's better than what his dad is, let's get him.
Sign me up. John's on the line with a thought on the wide receivers. What's up, John?
What's going on, guys? Always, of course, thanks for taking the call. Love the show. I'm going to hop right back in it, my man. D-Mase, I love you, and I watched you growing up as a kid, as a native Nashvilleian, and saw the Titans come. This wide receiving core that you just quote-unquote said is good, I have to strongly disagree, my man.
I mean,
I'll hang up and listen.
Okay. I wish, John, you would have gave some examples. But, hey, listen. I like Chris Moore. I like Nick Westbrook-Akine. Everybody knows that. I've said glowing things about him.
Mm-hmm.
Said glowing things about D-Hop. His resume, speaks for itself.
Right.
I'm disappointed in Traylon. I think Traylon is a good player, but because of the injuries and his inconsistencies, he hasn't been. And because the problem is this. We see all these other receivers that are coming in and the ones that are contributing, first rounders that are contributing. And we say, well, why can't ours do that? But then you see flashes, but then you see drops here, drops there, getting hurt. And I know he can't control that. So it's like this receiving core would look a lot different if Traylon was ahead of schedule or right on schedule in regards to his production. If he's out there and he's balling like I believe he can, then it makes D-Hop's job a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. People made the mistake with saying, well, D-Hop is going to make, Traylon's job easier. I'm telling you, it's not. Because D-Hop's going to get his catches. They're going to find Traylon's going to make it easier for D-Hop. Why? Because he stretches the field, get those safeties, what I call a safety shifter. Secondary shifter. He could be that guy. He hasn't shown it. When you're that guy,
and he's got the speed to get
exactly.
downfield too.
When you're that guy, as a veteran guy, I'm like, thank God, because now I got a young guy that can flat out get it going down the field. And then once he runs that post and that corner and that safety runs with him, I'm coming across the middle. I'm wide open. It makes D-Hop's job a lot easier. Now his job is hard because he has nobody.
And because Nick Westbrook-Akine can't catch the ball in the end zone.
I like Nick and I like Chris, but everybody's zeroing in on D-Hop. Why? Right. Because you don't have that consistent explosiveness down the field.
Chris Moore and NWI, they are what they are. They're good players,
exactly.
But they're not necessarily going to cause a defense to shake in their boots. They don't think they need to give the same attention to Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akine that you would Traylon Burks.
And that's why, when they brought D-Hop over and I was saying this and people were, oh, that's not no, D-Hop is going to make Traylon better. And I'm thinking do y'all understand how this thing works? Now, if D-Hop was a young man, like third or fifth year, and he was lighting it up, then I would say, yeah, that young kid's going to benefit from D-Hop. But when a team knows you can't get down the field, then they fear nothing that you do going down the field. They're going to play all underneath. He's still going to get his catches, but again, is it going to – because once we get in the red zone, I can eliminate you, and they have. If Traylon's out there, now Traylon becomes the red zone threat. Now I got to pay attention to Traylon, and I leave D-Hop one-on-one, somehow, some way, and now I can find him. You see what I'm saying? And people don't look at it from that standpoint.
And the irony of it all is D-Hop was supposed to be a red zone threat, and he has zero touchdowns on the season. All right, we'll get back into your phones on this coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, tune in to 94.9 The Fan this Saturday at 7 p.m. for our college football game of the week, Utah USC, presented by Twin Peaks. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all the hottest college football games across the country and home of the 29-degree beer.
He knows Nashville sports.
And you've got Mike Vrabel in what feels like sort of a back-against-the-wall game. They're at their best.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They need to go on the road and win a game.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
16 five-star players and 52 four-star players.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
They still have all of the talent.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, we're about to get the football week started right back up. I know tomorrow there's a Thursday night NFL game, so we're one day away from that. And if you're betting on any other sports book out there, you need to switch. You need to switch right now before the game starts Thursday. You need to switch to Zen Sports, the fastest growing sports book in Tennessee, revolutionizing the way you bet on sports with their cash reward program. When you sign up with Zen Sports with the code D-Mason, that's D-M-A-S-O-N, you will earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. Think about that for a second. 5% cash back on your total play with no limits to how much you can earn as a cash rebate on your bets. So what are you waiting for? Stop wasting your time and your money betting on other sports books to earn credits or points when you could be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Download today on the App Store or at zensports.com. Your wallet and or purse will thank you later. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here. Are you looking for a luxury home on over an acre, 7 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, and close to 7,000 square feet? 6551 Brownlee Drive in Nashville's Westmead neighborhood offers that and a 4th-car garage, all by an award-winning builder. Text the number 1 to 615-420-2377 for pricing and info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
City Winery presents Patton Oswalt Effervescent Tour live Saturday, October 21st at 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. The comedian, actor, and writer has found success in all areas of entertainment, from his award-winning comedy specials to his many memorable film and TV roles. Oswalt continues to choose work that inspires him and entertains audiences. You may know him as Principal Durbin on NBC's AP Bio. Patton Oswalt continues to make audiences laugh around the world. Don't miss Patton Oswalt this Saturday, 10/21 at City Winery. Get your tickets at citywinery.com.
Introducing Gen Y Hitch, the ultimate towing solution for the modern adventurer. Whether you're hauling a boat, RV, or heavy cargo, Gen Y Hitch is your dependable companion. With its innovative design and cutting-edge technology, it delivers unrivaled stability and safety on the road. Crafted with precision engineering and built to last, Gen Y Hitch ensures a smooth and secure towing experience. Say goodbye to the hassle of traditional hitches and embrace the future of towing. You can find our full range of products and accessories at GenYHitch.com. Upgrade to Gen Y Hitch and tow with confidence. Your journey starts here.
Hi, this is Rudy Gatlin of the Gatlin Brothers. Larry, Steve, and I would like to invite you to join us for the second annual Blood Assurance Celebrity Golf Tournament Monday, October 23rd at the beautiful Hermitage Golf Course. All proceeds benefit local high schools through the Blood Assurance Heroes Grant Fund. There are going to be a lot of great prizes, but one lucky player will win a trip for two to play golf in Ireland. To sign up and for more information, go to bloodassurance.org/celebrity-golf. Come on and join us.
Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Chase and Big Joe have your chance to win tickets to see Kiss on Monday, October 23rd at Bridgestone Arena. This contest is brought to you by Green Trees Company, a family-owned cannabis company and dispensary providing high-quality legal THC products for anyone seeking medicine, relief, or wellness. Located in Hendersonville and a new location in West Nashville and available online at greentreescompany.com. Tune in tomorrow between 9 and 11 a.m. for your chance to win. So we opened up the show today talking about Mike Vrabel. About the fans' trust in Mike Vrabel, because yesterday everybody wanted to move on from Ryan Tannehill. Today, everyone wants to move on from Ryan Tannehill. Trade everybody. Trade Derek. Trade D-Hop. Trade Danico. Trade everybody. So I thought, okay, well, are you ready to move on from Vrabel? And honestly, D-Mase, just based off of the callers and the textures, the consensus that I feel today is they're done with Vrabel. The consensus I get is we don't trust Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I think some people are getting, again, we talked about this earlier, you got to have a little bit of all three of those things, you know, the arrogance, confidence, ego in this league or in any professional league to play or coach at a high level. But I think that's okay when you're winning. When you're not winning, fans start to get tired of it.
Bill Belichick is the poster child.
And they're tired of it now.
They're tired of it. They want him out.
Yeah, they want him out. They're like, listen, you're not winning anymore, you know, and it doesn't seem like you want to change anything. We're tired of it. You know better than everybody. We're tired of it now.
And it's funny when you're winning Super Bowls. It's not so funny anymore when you're losing football games. And I think that's where a lot of Titans fans feel is, oh, you want more responsibility? Great. Well, now you're going to get more blame.
All right.
That's going to do it for us today. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Stillman and Company's up next.
Be love and love of your